But if we've talked about this, if this is just who he is, how he has to be, I will take the excesses for the results. But I just wish, and again, I know we might talk about Minneapolis, if he could just go about things in a slightly more tamped down way, he would have completely vanquished the loony left, because they are so bad. And the only thing that's keeping them afloat is being able to point to him and his excesses.
You're so right. Yes, Peter. And, that's what's so frustrating to me. And let's segue into Minnesota, because I am of the very strong opinion right now that this is not working out so well for the administration. Now, J.D. Vance was there in Minneapolis this afternoon. I haven't heard the remarks because I was busy doing something. We may roll back some of the audio, so I'd be very curious to see how he frames some of this. But, you're in a great situation when you're deporting illegals that are criminals and felons. I don't think anyone has any problem with that except for the true radical left. But you do have enough reports. And look, I'm suspicious of the media. I don't know the veracity and the truth, but there's enough out there to indicate to the independent voters of America that they don't like what's going down right now. And a year ago, they supported this immigration policy. So to your point, this makes me nervous because of the midterms. I'd like to kick them all out. I don't really care. But I don't think that people who are American citizens should be dragged out and pulled over and asked for papers. That is, I'm not down with that.
I agree 100%. I also, and I think Trump made this point, in any human activity, there is an error rate. So
yes,
if you are indiscriminately pulling people over and, even like 5 or 10% of the people are U.S. citizens, that's a huge problem. If there have been 20 people, U.S. citizens, pulled over and some of them detained, and God knows I wouldn't want to be one of those people and I would be howling. But, amidst tens of thousands of others, that's going to happen. And I agree with you. The reporting is so dishonest that it's hard to get a handle on it. So I don't know if this is just the normal error rate, which is bound to happen and is lamentable, or if it's, they really are not really clear about what they're doing.
It's hard to tell. It really is. And that's where the dishonesty on the part of the media is at play. Because if I'm this administration, Tom Homan or J.D. Vance, and there's these claims because this one dude gets dragged out of his house and he's got his jammies on and stuff and he's an American citizen, wasn't a good look, but they were looking for people who were bad guys in the house. So maybe that's your error. Like you said, you're going to have some of those. But I think that they need to get in front of this stuff and say, okay, that happened, but this is who we were looking for. And these are the types of people that we're looking for. Now, you still might not get a fair shake, right? But I think they need to do a better job of that.
I 100% agree with you. And I got to say, I love Carolyn Leavitt, the press secretary, and the way she handles those press conferences. But his communication strategy, and again, maybe they just can't contain him, but it is a disaster. And it's a disaster in part because he is doing so much that you can't keep on top of anything.
It's impossible.
The Maduro capture was a huge victory. And literally 2 days later, it's Greenland. So nobody has time to savor the accomplishment of removing this monster from that country before it's just something else. Or to your point about ICE in Minneapolis and elsewhere, where are the stories about who these agents are? Where are the stories about they're wearing masks because they're being doxxed?
Right.
Where's the stories if they're saying 60% of the people have criminal records? Where are the stories on who these people are, that they're actually
Well,
removing?
And that's the problem. You're not going to have the regular legacy media incentivized to find those types of stories because they are going to look out for the other agenda. But see, that's when it becomes, to me, perception is reality. And when you start to do this polling and you see the polling slipping away on immigration, it shouldn't be that confusing. So we'll see if J.D. Vance maybe straighten him out a little bit here this afternoon. Peder Zane, always great to have you on. I hope all is well. We'll get you back soon.
Thanks.
All right, take care.
Stay safe, stay
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, if you are on southbound 55, just expect the usual volume. It's south of Arsenal down through Bates, and then things open up and look a lot better if you're headed further to the south. Now, the accident that crews have been dealing with is westbound 70, really close to Branch. And they've had, looks like it still might be, the right lane and the right shoulder blocked. And this has really created a jam. It's almost back to the Poplar Street Bridge. It's a parking lot. Other than that, it's the usual volume westbound 6440. It starts at Kings Highway and goes in pockets out through 270. And some moderate volume Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70 past the accident at Branch is wide open. And we do have some volume on eastbound 44. It's road work again, and it's slowing just east of Kings Highway. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Tired of mice? Point Pest Control finds their entry points, eliminates the infestation, and seals them out for good with our exclusion services. Mention Annie to get 10% off on top of any other special. Call 636-798-0023. Visit Point with an E, pointpestcontrol.com.
I think we've realized in the past 5 years in particular that it is good to keep our immune system strong, and Neovitin vitamins certainly can help you with that. And then just the whole process of trying to eat healthier. I actually have something I might get to in the 4 o'clock hour with some unusual tips that a particular physician is giving to keep your brain sharp as you get older. And you can do some of that by feeding your body the proper nutrition. As you get older, you're going to need that even more. And this is daily support for your best life. That's what they say at Neovitin Vitamins. Now, the way to save money here is you get free shipping on monthly subscriptions and you save 10%. So that's if you go to the store, you want to do that and pay more money, you're welcome to do that. But if you go online to neovitin.com, you get signed up, they'll deliver the vitamins, and they have options: the regular formula, the regular men's formula, the men's 50 plus, the women's 50 plus, and the Neovitin Omega-3 fish oil tablets for brain and heart health. Check them out today. Get signed up at neovitin.com. That's neovitin.com.
It looks like winter finally has arrived. It's really nice weather we were getting. But nice that we kept it all the way through. But it's time for your furnaces to start breaking. If it happens to you, please give me a call, and we'll get somebody right out there and get your heat real fast. If you choose, it makes more sense to replace your furnace. We can do that next day. So if you need service, give me a call. Bart Inman. It's one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The easiest number, 314-293-2600. Again, Missouri and Illinois, only one number, 314-293-2600. Or go online at bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My best advice to you when hiring a lawyer for your injury case is simple. If you know court personnel, ask them who they'd hire. They know. If you know an insurance adjuster, ask them. They know. And then ask them about us. Ask them about Morgan & Morgan. They know. I look forward to talking to you soon. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm for the people. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings, up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
3:34. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
From the gateway city to the front lines of freedom. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
But what if a foreign country launched a missile at the United States of America? We would need control over the Arctic in order to shoot that missile down. Our entire missile defense system depends on that Arctic security.
Shady Vance, the vice president, making the case for this deal with Greenland. It's interesting because listen to some of the headlines that were in the news here in the last week from Jens Fredrik Nielsen, who is the premier of Greenland. Greenland's leader says he cannot rule out an American attack. Greenland should be prepared for everything, Prime Minister says, not ruling out U.S. military action. Greenland Prime Minister says military invasion can't be ruled out. Here's another one. I will not yield to Trump's pressure on Greenland, says PM. Greenland PM tells people to prepare for possible invasion. Military invasion can't be ruled out, Greenland's prime minister says amid U.S. threats. Well, he kind of changed his mind a little bit because now he says, confused by this, he's willing to go further in increasing the defense of the Arctic island coveted by President Trump, including agreeing on the establishment of a permanent NATO mission. So he seems a little bit more flexible than he was just a few days ago. Let's talk about some of this with Steve Bucci, a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Steve, good afternoon. Welcome to 97.1 FM Talk.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show.
One of the reasons I think this is a little hard to get our arms around, even for someone like me, is because you've had all these claims and people saying, oh, we're going to send the military, we're going to invade. That was never even remotely realistic or possible to me. But when it came to taking over Greenland or achieving mineral rights or whatever the process is right now, I think it is confusing to the American people. So, Steve, the vice president makes the case for, this being strategic defensively for NATO. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but there's more to it as well, isn't there?
Yeah, look, I'm with you. I don't think there was ever a chance that the president was going to load up the 82nd Airborne Division and drop them into, Greenland to take over the 156 people that are there. That was not going to happen.
No, you and I could have gone over there and probably taken care of that on our own, right?
Pretty close.
Yes.
Yeah. President Trump. Remember, he's not a traditional politician. He's darn sure not a traditional diplomat. He is a deal maker, and part of making a deal with him is, frankly, bluster, threats. Given these horizon events that are going to happen if he doesn't get his way. And then he turns around and once people say, well, let's talk. Okay, good. Let's talk. You've always been my friend. Why? Of course we're going to talk.
Right.
And it works. And I know it drives the legacy press crazy. It drives the liberals crazy. It drives half of the Republicans crazy. But it's the way he operates, and he's been successful in all of his life, and since he's been president with most of this stuff. So I think everybody's going to have to take a breath every time he says one of these things, and he's not lying. He's just laying out what the last potential event will be if we don't make a deal.
Well, and
so
a lot of people keep falling. People keep falling for the same thing, and sometimes I even do because look, Trump's been around for a while, and this is a real perfect example. It's like Exhibit A of Art of the Deal because he always talks about and he dangles this stuff out there. He tries to go as far as possible. He asks for more than he wants, but that's been his operus miranda since the 1980s, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not that new in the business world. This kind of methodology is used all the time, particularly in the real estate business, which, to my understanding, is one of the most fluid. I've heard other high finance kind of leaders say, yeah, the real estate guys, they're really not businessmen. They're gamblers. They're like playing the lottery with the big deals that they make. So President Trump has a very broad view of negotiations, and he does as a good measure of it publicly because that produces different pressures on the person you're negotiating with than slipping them a piece of paper across the table. I don't think he ever wanted to actually own Greenland.
Right.
But if they were willing to give it to him, he'd have been happy to take it. But he knew exactly what he needed. He needs to use the island of Greenland to be a hub for the northern flank of not just America's, but NATO's defense spectrum, particularly against strategic level threats like intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarines, naval vessels in areas that we right now don't have adequate coverage on, either from an intel standpoint or a response standpoint. Well, now we're in the process with our friends, the Danes, and their territory there in Greenland. We're going to be building those capabilities to defend our interests. So all the people that are like, well, America first, this is quintessential America first. It is there to protect us. It will also protect the Canadians and all of the other NATO members as well.
Yeah, well, and that's something I think the message was pretty clear when he was at the summit this week. So one thing I can't help myself lately. I drive home. I get off at 6 o'clock here in St. Louis, Steve, and I listen to Laura's show on Fox, but I can't help myself. I have to listen to what they're doing on CNN, right? And they got the guy, Prime Minister of Norway, on last night, and Aaron Burnett for like 5 minutes tries to get him to break bad on Trump because Trump sends this message over the weekend that kind of criticizes the fact that he didn't get the Peace Prize. And again, it's Trump's personality. That's what he does. But the guy didn't rip on him the way that Aaron Burnett was trying to set him up to do. He's also being diplomatic, talking about the importance of the U.S. and all these things. So even when they try to gin it up more than it is, it doesn't go their way all the time. And maybe the best example is the Greenland premier kind of backing down after all his rhetoric.
Yeah, well, him and the Secretary General of NATO there in Davos, he stood up and said, well, Trump's kind of right.
Yeah.
We need to do more. This is a critical area for all of us, and we need to do it correctly. He's got something to tell us, and we need to listen. I was very heartened by that. Instead of getting up, doing the Emmanuel Macron, French ego thing, this guy said, no, we need to come to an agreement. And geez, imagine that they did, and actually pretty easily. It didn't take weeks of
Seemingly.
negotiation. It
Right.
didn't. It seemed to happen in an hour-long meeting.
So how does this, I mentioned I was listening to CNN. So one of the points that they make is, and the president has said this in the past, where he thinks that the U.S. perhaps should withdraw from NATO because, and he's pointed out that our contributions are much bigger. I don't really think, first of all, I don't think we should withdraw from NATO. I don't really think the president thinks we should withdraw from NATO either. But that's something that he said. And when he says things, they focus on that.
Exactly. He says what a large number of his constituents are thinking. How good a deal is this? We pay 90% of the cost, and we only get one vote. It is disturbing to folks. When you apply it to the UN, it's even a bigger dissonance there. But he says that stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's his end goal. I mean, if you threaten him or push him on it, you might end up with him trying to get that end goal. But he's always got intermediate goals and targets that, when you lay them on the table, turn out to be pretty reasonable.
I know. And it is.
It really is. And, kudos to him. The man has broken the mold of how an American president talks to his counterparts inside our alliances. And he does it, and some people may not like it. Some people want us to be humble and we're just the same as everybody else. But we're not just the same as everybody else. We have big needs. We carry a bigger weight than lots of these other countries. And in their hearts, they know that. It's remember under Obama when he said, well, we're going to lead from behind. We'll let the French take the lead on this deal when they were in Libya. And then everybody said, yeah, but if the Americans aren't coming, we can't even get there. I mean, literally, they couldn't get from Europe to Libya without us helping them move all their troops and refuel their aircraft and, move things logistically. It's the reality. And the left thinks, well, we shouldn't say that. That's not nice. Well, maybe it's not, but it's reality.
Right. We've lost all the respect of the other countries of the world. That's what I was told last night. And I don't think, first of all, I don't think that's true. Second of all, I don't care because I want to make sure that Western civilization survives and that our country is safe. But great stuff here this afternoon, Steve Bucci. Thank you so much for jumping on here with me.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got some volume out there this afternoon. Crews have been dealing with this accident westbound 70 at Branch. It has been blocking the right lanes. They had the right lane and the right shoulder blocked. And behind it is a jam that has gone all the way back to the Arch. So if you're westbound, trying to leave downtown on westbound 70, which is also eastbound 44, it's a rough go. And eastbound a little slow at Branch as well. Then things open up if you're westbound and look pretty good until you get out to Highway A. A little bit slow there. Now, westbound 40, already a slow go. Now, mainly Kings Highway out through McCausland, but some moderate volume between Lindbergh and out to the 70 split. 55 is slowing at Bates. We've got eastbound 44 slowing east of Kings Highway. That is due to road work. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Need a new garage door? Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door. Enter now at overheaddoorstlewis.com. Deadline to enter is the end of the month. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We're about to make this thing happen, St. Louis. It's your main man, Jimmy Fallon, and I am coming to the factory right in Chesterfield. It is this Saturday. So come join me. Tickets are on sale at 971talk.com/events. It is this Saturday.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
St. Louis, laugh it up with Jimmy Fallon live at the Factory on January 24th. From national radio to sold-out comedy clubs, Jimmy delivers fast, fearless stand-up that hits home.
The only ones raising tough kids anymore. The redneck babies are going to take on ISIS. The hipster babies are going to battle the evil forces of gluten. You know what I'm saying?
Grab your friends and get ready for a night of laughs. One show, one night only. Don't miss Jimmy Fallon, January 24th at the Factory. Get your tickets now at thefactorystl.com. That's thefactorystl.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Now that we're getting older, we've been putting more thought into maintaining our health.
We knew the water we drink every day could be filled with contaminants, so
we called Leaf Home Water Solutions.
They came to our home and did a free water test and gave us the analysis right away.
We were shocked at what we saw.
They found heavy metals like iron and copper.
Our own tap water was putting our health at risk, but Leaf Home Water Solutions made it easy to get safer water from every tap and hose. A whole home solution.
They have more than 250 product combinations and designed a system that fits our needs and budget. The installation took less than a day.
With Leaf Home Water Solutions, our water is safer and healthier. When we drink, when we cook, when we shower, even when we garden.
We feel better about our health.
Thanks to Leaf Home Water Solutions.
Schedule your free home water test today at leafhome.com/free and save 15% on all home water treatment systems. That's leafhome.com/free for your free home water test and 15% off. leafhome.com/free.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Let me play a little of this audio from Chris Cuomo. This is on social media. I think he's at News Nation now, kind of former disgraced CNN guy. So Scott Jennings is coming up at 4:30 this afternoon. But Cuomo decides to go on social media and scold Scott Jennings because he's being mean to the 25-year-old kid that basically called Trump a pedophile. And I think it's mainly because Chris is so irrelevant now and Jennings is so relevant.
Sue, tough guy. How are you going to enforce that? So if somebody beats your ass because you're being rude and disrespectful and causing division in this country that's causing distress and pain all over the streets and making people want to hurt one another. If you really want to be a part of that, as the expression goes, FAFO, don't be a tough guy. Make tough points. But remember to be decent. You're not a tough guy, okay? You're a guy with slick to the side hair, a slick tongue, and everybody knows what you're doing. Don't be a tough guy.
Okay, well, that punk kid may very well have gotten CNN into more, financial risk because of lawsuits. I mean, the kid, I covered this yesterday, and we'll do all this at 4:30 after Sue's News. I'll play you the audio. It all started with this kid. I forget his name, but he was one of the Parkland shooting survivors. So he starts to tell Jennings that he's not allowed to say the word illegal alien because that's not allowed anymore. Jennings says, wait, what, how are you going to enforce telling me what I can say? But then even worse than that, he's on the panel. John Berman is the host. It wasn't Abby Phillip. And this kid basically talks about how Trump leads this sex trafficking ring across the world, alluding to the Epstein files. And the only person that says something about that is Scott Jennings. If he wasn't on the panel, I think they'd be definitely, facing a lawsuit. But this kid goes on and totally backs up and apologizes. And you know why? Because the lawyers told him he damn well better.
Yep.
Because he said something that was reckless and irresponsible. And Chris Cuomo, who no one even watches anymore, wants to go on his social media and berate Jennings. And by the way, legitimately put him in more risk personally because you have guys out there like Keith Olbermann, who directly went after Jennings in the fall, and now Chris Cuomo targeting him for some reason. Like he's the reason. Scott Jennings is the reason that people are riding in the streets of Minneapolis and doing some of this other stuff. It's just utterly ridiculous.
It is.
But they can't stand the fact that he defends Trump. I will say, and I'd love to know what the management said to John Berman, because the way that John Berman handled that the other night was ridiculous. And he slapped down Jennings. I'm pretty sure management at CNN had to have a talk with John after that because, look, they're worried about these lawsuits, and they should be worried about these lawsuits. So we'll get into that at 4:30 after Sue's News. Also this afternoon in the 5 o'clock hour, I got to kind of look at the list here because Fred puts it together and sometimes the host forgets. Oh, yeah, this could be good. John Ziegler's coming up, the co-host of the podcast, The Death of Journalism. There's so many different things I want to talk to John about, but one of them, Sue, is the Timothy Busfield case. And he's been accused of these two kids of inappropriate touching. I have audio from the original police interview where the kids say, nope, Uncle Timmy didn't do anything like that at all. So John, has gone on this decade-long fight and has done a lot of work on a podcast about Jerry Sandusky at Penn State and has made a very strong case that Sandusky was railroaded. And there's a lot of similarities between that and with Timothy Busfield. The other thing I want to talk to you about, John, is that he strongly feels, and I get it, and by the way, if you've heard Zig before, he's got very strong opinions. He feels like the world of collegiate athletics has just been completely wrecked and destroyed because of NIL, right?
Yeah.
And he makes some valid points. And I'm not comfortable with all of the things that are happening with NIL either. However, this last weekend, the University of Indiana won the national championship. If you go 4 years ago, before they started paying these kids, that would never, ever, 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 ever have happened. Ever. Did I mention never?
Yep.
It would not have. It would not have been possible for the most losing team in all of Division I football to all of a sudden turn around and go 16-0 and win the national championship. Not possible. So my case to John is, while I understand the challenges, it gives me hope because I sat there on Monday night and I thought, you know what? Do I really think Mizzou's going to be in the national championship? Probably not. But it gives me hope that It's a possibility, and it gives a lot of people around the country hope. So I think we'll have a spirited discussion in the 5 o'clock hour. Plus, of course, an audio cut of the day. All that's coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we've got an accident downtown really causing delays. It's westbound 70 at Branch in the right lane. Huge delay behind it for drivers trying to get onto westbound 70. Look for a jam back past the Poplar. We've got southbound 55 slowing near Broadway down through looks Bates area before it opens up. And westbound 64, we had an accident reported near Hampton, a slow go that goes from Kings Highway out through McCausland. Then you get a break and more volume approaching Highway N out through the 70 split. Now, elsewhere, it's just the usual volume. So southbound 270, that's a little bit slow as you head on down. And that's mainly from Page down through Doherty Ferry. It's moderate volume. And let's see, other than that, we're pretty good. Looking good through North County and on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I want to talk about the team at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They're doing a little work for me. We're trying to get someone on the schedule to come over and repair a little carpeting in my basement. They can do that for you, carpet stretching, etc. But I want you to go on to the website, and at the top of the website at igotfloored.com, you'll see inspiration. And you'll see under that, if you press on that tab, you'll see Visualize Your Room. That's where you can upload a picture and match it up with some of the options. The second option that you can press on is the galleries, view our galleries. And the galleries are amazing. There's a carpet gallery, a hardwood gallery, laminate, tile gallery, luxury vinyl, vinyl gallery, stone gallery, and glass tile gallery for your bathrooms. All of those are options, and they have so many different products at different price points. Now, that's a good way to get started, but I would definitely recommend heading in right on into one of the locations around St. Louis, open 6 days a week, just closed on Sunday, in Darden Prairie, in West County on Olive, and, of course, Old Town St. Peter's, the legendary store there. igotfloored.com. Michael's Flooring Outlet.
When life happens and you need to sell your St. Louis area home, call trusted realtor Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria is St. Louis's real estate expert with more than 22 years of experience and expertise, helping you sell quickly and for the most money.
Selling your home can be so stressful, especially when life happens, like a sudden job change, a passing of a loved one, or a growing family. Knowing exactly how much your home will sell in today's market is the first step. Then I back it up with an upfront written guarantee. My guarantee is simple and easy to understand. If I can't sell your home at our agreed-upon price and time frame, I'll buy it myself.
When life happens, the name to remember is Gloria Liu, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I strongly suggest you call her right now at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design because they specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high-quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit LakesideRD.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
More than 200 million Americans on notice. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. A winter storm on the march, now expected to impact more than 40 states from New Mexico to New York, with a treacherous combination of snow, ice, and frigid temperatures.
The ice that falls and the snow that falls isn't going anywhere anytime soon because of that cold. So once the ice falls, it's going to be there for a while. So power outages, transportation issues, that could be as long as a week, if not more.
National Weather Service Director Ken Graham, multiple states already declaring emergencies to help with storm prep, especially in the southern U.S. U.S. airlines already trying to get ahead of problems by issuing travel waivers. At least 7 major carriers allowing more flexibility for passengers to cancel or change trips. Outreach from Vice President J.D. Vance in Minneapolis, where anti-ice protests have escalated.
Working with state and local officials, we can make the worst moments of chaos much less common, and all they've got to do is meet us halfway.
He says agents are enforcing immigration laws and that lack of cooperation has led to more federal agents needed for protection from violent protesters. The Minneapolis mayor accuses the administration of violating constitutional rights and says people are rightfully scared and angry. At least 3 people now facing federal charges for the anti-ice protest that disrupted a church service last weekend. Former special counsel Jack Smith says he followed the rule of law when he accused then former President Trump of mishandling classified documents and trying to overturn the 2020 election.
I am not a politician, and I have no partisan loyalties.
But House Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan says the prosecutions were political, including a gag order.
Jack Smith restricts the speech of the former president while he's a candidate for president.
Both federal cases were dropped after the president won the 2024 election. America is listening to Fox News.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
We do have a winter storm on the way, but not until Saturday. Some clouds tonight. It's dry, very cold and windy. Pretty good temperature drop, 12 degrees. Friday, dry day. A mix of clouds and sunshine, windy and very cold, only 14 for the high. Friday night, dry. Clouds take over, very cold, 4 degrees. Then on Saturday, periods of snow, especially developing for the afternoon, windy and cold. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
We get Dave Murray on here in just a moment with an updated forecast. Jacob Kern over at the St. Louis Business Journal was nice enough to share a story that broke here this afternoon. It's not his story, but he is one of the managing editors over there. This is by, let's see here, give proper credit to Kate Marajelovich. Man, I think I might have even said her name correctly.
Holy cow,
here.
that sounded impressive.
But this is not great news. This is another exodus from downtown. So Momentum, which I'm familiar with, they call Momentum Worldwide, big marketing firm, 110 local workers, and Weber Shandwick with 26 workers have moved out of the Stadium One West building at 1831 Chestnut. That's an 8-story building that is now completely vacant.
Boy.
Completely vacant. And I don't know what this city is going to do about everyone leaving. We're going to leave. I mean, our company deems that this building is not safe in downtown. It is the biggest risk they have in all of the company.
Oh
so
my gosh.
we are, our lease expires next year, I think, or at the end, and we're going to end up moving. Now, where we move, I don't think we're saying we're moving out of the city necessarily, but certainly out of downtown.
Police. We need to hire. It's about safety.
We should get the mayor on here, Fred. She hasn't been on in a while, and I saw her not too long ago, and she said she would come on. But how do you turn this around? There's nobody coming, right? There's nobody coming and announcing, hey, we got 300 workers that are going to be in this building. Everybody's leaving. Channel 5, they just left.
Yep.
Channel 4, they just left. Odyssey, KMOX, us, everyone, we're leaving.
P.S. Think about how difficult it is to move a TV or radio station.
Really
I
difficult.
cannot even express to you.
Really, you know what? That's an excellent point.
I mean, this is not a simple thing.
All right, Dave Murray, let's find out what's going to go on here this weekend. I think we're going to get a little bit better picture. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray with us on the phone this afternoon. Hello, Dave. How are you?
Hello there. It is scary going into your building.
Is it? Thanks for reinforcing that.
I think it is.
It can be. Yes. Yeah. I'm telling you. All right, what are we looking at here? 3 feet, 4 feet of snow, 2 inches. What do you got for us?
Oh, you're hearing everything out there.
Yes.
Let's first of all, the cold air has not gotten here yet, but the front I think is right on top of us. So let's look at the cold air first.
Okay.
Friday's high is 14. Friday night is 4. Saturday is 14. Saturday night is 9. Sunday is 15 degrees. There is a winter storm warning in effect for Saturday night, and into Sunday. Cold weather advisory in effect through the weekend. So the cold air is going to be here. Now, we're about 37, 38 right now. We're going down to 12 tonight. So it's a pretty good shot of cold, dry air. That's the first aspect of it. The southwest storm system will be developing and coming into the cold air. However, right now, it is still off the coast of Southern California. It will get over the Baja and then come over the Southern Rockies, where it gets sheared apart, just gets ripped apart, and then has to reform somewhere in the Texas Panhandle and then track into the middle of the nation. We don't really have a good feel for numbers. And I know you're hearing a lot of numbers, but you don't really have a good feel for the numbers until this storm gets over the Rockies and reforms, because any little wobble north or south by 25, 30 miles will have a tremendous effect on the numbers as far as snowfall is concerned. I still think the heaviest snow is going to be St. Louis south, especially south. And again, it's dry tonight, it's dry tomorrow, it's dry Friday night. This will start to unfold Saturday morning. The moisture has to penetrate this dry, cold air mass, so it's going to take a while. A lot of the moisture will evaporate before reaching the ground, and I think as we get into Saturday afternoon, it will start to become a little more steady, and the heavy Saturday night into early Sunday morning. With that said, I don't think the storm comes out as one piece. I think it comes out maybe as 3 pieces.
Yeah.
So there's going to be times on Saturday where we're going to look out the window and that's it. That's all we're going to get. The second piece has to come in.
Right.
And then you have again, it's not snowing anymore. That must be it. No. And then everything behind the storm comes in behind it. On these storms, our heaviest snow is once the low pressure, our combination move.
We're starting to not be able to hear you, Dave, and I'm sorry. That happened last time, so I don't know what's going on. But you were fine there for a while, and then you just started fading out where we can't really get many words. So
is that better?
It's not. No. We're gonna send Elon to your house here in the next couple of weeks, get you hooked up with Starlink so this doesn't happen again.
We have to start using Opal. We'll use the Opal on this.
That's a good idea.
Oh, that is a good idea. But basically, now, real quick, because I can't hear you right now. I mean, the part of the country that's going to get whacked the most with snow, is that like to the south of us? Like I'm hearing 15 inches maybe in Oklahoma, and they ain't used to that in Oklahoma.
No, Texas, Oklahoma, Northwest Arkansas, Southern Missouri, Southern Illinois, Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, and
Yeah.
Then as you get south of that, ice will become involved. Travel in and out of Dallas, if you're flying, will be a disaster.
All right.
So will Atlanta.
Oof. Wow, wonderful. All right, Dave Murray, thank you so much. I think we got
Dave.
most of that. We appreciate it.
You know what? He's so good at describing that.
No,
that
I know.
really made sense. Like the Rockies are going to break it up, and then it could be in 3 parts. I love it.
Well, the 3 parts make sense because just studying the weather apps, which they don't give you much information, it does seem like what he was saying matches up with what I've seen as far as Saturday morning, a little round, and then Sunday afternoon, you could get more snow. So, or we get nothing. Who knows what's going to happen, right? You really don't know. But, Fred, we have to remember that's like the second time that's happened.
Yeah.
And it wasn't happening before. I don't know why all of a sudden it's decided to cut out on us. But I always like to hear what what Dave has to say. I was going to do this real quick before Sue's News. Let me try this because I found this in the I think it was in the New York Times or the Washington Post. It was actually some advice from a particular expert physician on how to keep yourself and your brain in particular healthy as you start to get older. And some of the stuff makes complete sense because it's obvious. So let me start with this question here. Fred, how much would you estimate, because I think you're an early riser, right?
Yeah.
So how much sleep do you get a night?
Midnight till 6 hours.
So you don't go to bed until midnight?
Usually around then.
What are you doing? Watching sports and that's late. That's even late for me. And you get up at 6, so you're only getting 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Rudolph Tanzi is this guy's name. He's at Harvard. Now let me first warn you that every time I do stories based on experts in academia, they oftentimes 3 years later the research comes back in a different direction.
Right.
But this guy's got some chops because he is known for discovering 3 key Alzheimer's genes. And he's written hundreds of journals and articles. He's been around for 46 years. He wrote something called Superbrain in 2023 with Deepak Chopra. And apparently that challenged some of the conventional thinking about the limits of the brain. And it argued that the mind's potential for growth and creativity exceeds everyday use and that people can consciously shape their brains to have superhuman capabilities and improve their own well-being at the same time. But you have to follow some rules. And he says for sleep, Sue, how much do you get? You don't get much sleep,
No,
right?
about the same as Fred.
7 to 8 hours of high-quality sleep each night. The high quality is the key part there.
It is.
I slept probably 7 hours last night, but it was not high quality. I was wide awake at 1 in the morning, and then I had to fall back to sleep
What
again.
defines high quality? In other words, if you wake up in the middle of the night and then go back to sleep, is that still
I think
high quality?
that's still fine. You're not
Yeah, I
tossing and
think
turning
so.
the whole
Okay.
time. Right.
You have to go through 3 or 4 REM
REMs?
cycles. Yeah.
Okay.
But here's what he says about the science of that. He says when you sleep, you not only consolidate memories, but you drain toxins out of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
You actually clean toxins. That's the sticky material that triggers Alzheimer's, and it usually does 2 decades in advance of the symptoms. So every time you go into deep sleep, it's a rinse cycle for your brain. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? See, some of this is so obvious, too. The next one is minimize chronic stress. You think?
Let's just
Okay, well, let's flip the switch and do that one. But, they point out that this has been linked to accelerated cognitive decline, and that makes complete sense. But look, I don't know. I can speak from my personal experience. There's no magical cure. Now, I'm a firm believer, Sue, you are too, in intense exercise, right?
Yeah, I
that
think it
manages
helps.
stress and it also helps sleep. So that's one of his things. Interaction with friends. Maintain an active social life. Loneliness is associated with a higher risk of neurodegenerative conditions. So they like stimulation. The brain likes stimulation. Make sure it's people you like. It's a problem if you're listening to my show, but I appreciate it anyway. If it's people you don't like, that's stress. Ask yourself, how often each week do you interact with people who are not coworkers or household family members? That's actually a really good question, right?
It is.
And that also depends on the time of year because it's so funny. I feel like I know my neighbors that live, either 1 or 2 doors down or across the street pretty well after living in the neighborhood for 8 years. But I haven't seen them in 3 months. You know what I mean?
I know,
you
it's
don't see
winter.
them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, April, you get the lawnmowers out and you start seeing people. But it's tough for families. This would qualify, but with Alexa, she's got so much going on. I see people because we're doing
Right,
swim
they're in
meets
and
and
out
stuff
of the-
like that.
yeah.
Right. Exercise is one of the other things. It induces the birth of new nerve cells, and that's a good thing. I mean, you can't argue against that. And then I like this, and I'm someone who wants to do more of this as I get older, and that's learning new things. So he says learning new things makes new connections called synapses. There are tens of trillions of them. They make up neural network that stores all your memories. So I've always wanted to pick up. I got a guitar when I was a kid. I never learned how to use it. I have a fascination with the bass guitar, and I'd love to learn how to
That's
play
interesting. Well,
the
why don't-
bass.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few things that I have on my list. I wouldn't call it like a bucket list, but I do think I'm at the point where I don't want to write off newness or discovering or
that's
trying
fair.
new things. That's why I was kind of doing the cooking thing and the baking, just because it was something different and I enjoy it. But I'm also not smart enough to get into complicated recipes.
Well, you are. You just aren't interested
maybe I
enough.
don't have the patience
Like
for it.
my new thing is I'm gonna try a sourdough. I'm gonna start my own starter and bake a loaf every week. We'll see how that goes.
So here's my goal. You guys I want to play this game Padel because I've been playing at Padel and Pickle, which is off Olive. And we play pickleball. My friend Jeff Drew has been nice enough to get me out there. I actually have a membership because after a few
That's
times
nice.
they make you have a membership. And Cliff, the guy who runs that, has been on the air. But Padel is a game that is, I was explaining it to my daughter last night because we were watching volleyball. It's kind of a combination between volleyball, racquetball, tennis, and pickleball.
You
pickleball
play off the
because
wall?
you play off the walls.
Okay.
And it looks like you're playing with a tennis ball, but it's not. It's a little flatter than a tennis ball. But I'm playing with people next to me on the pickleball courts all the time, and I'm watching them play Padel. Cliff has said that that's a game, while pickleball is really, really taken off here, Padel has taken off in like Australia and Europe. And it seems like an interesting game. So I'm going to give that a try. That's one of my small goals. Should I buy a bass guitar?
I don't know.
Not yet?
I would wait.
Sue knows me too well, right?
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
I like your honesty, though.
Yeah, I just. All right, on the roads, we had that earlier accident westbound 70 at Branch, and then we had something go on close to Grand. But if you're westbound on 70, it really is jammed back into the depressed section right there in front of the Arch grounds. A slow go on westbound 6440. We had just a slow go that starts approaching Kings Highway out past, just past, by the way, Clayton Skinker. Eastbound a little bit slow at Big Bend. We've got some volume, mainly moderate. Southbound 170 south of Olive through 64. Southbound 270 moderate volume. And that goes from Page down through Doherty Ferry. 44 is slowing at 270. And out west, it's just moderate volume on 6440 and 70 headed for their split. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Actually did not look at the stock market today, so let's do that before we talk about Thomas Helbig here in the Retirement Advisory Group. Okay, it was up 306 points, closed at 49,384. It's been an up and down week, and what I want you to do, and I can probably tell you this now, we're going to announce the first seminar for Thomas and the team at the Retirement Advisory Group. We do 5 of these. They're very simple. Mark and Annie and I all show up with Thomas and his team. We do a little meet and greet starting around 6 o'clock. The event starts at 6:30. And you're out of there by like 7:45. We usually do these at Plaza Frontenac at the Hilton. We're going to move them to Chesterfield, and I'll have more details on that. But you don't have to wait for that announcement. You can go one-on-one and meet with Thomas, his nephew Bob Kershaw, Bob's wife Tammy. It's a family-run operation. If you are worried about how much money you're going to have in retirement, you're worried about inflation, you're worried about the stock market, stop worrying. Stop wondering. Get in. They'll give you a free copy of their book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. And their strategy is different than the big brokerage houses. They want to make you safely linked to the market, lock in your gains, and have a great retirement. It's as simple as that. Go to retirementkey.com and make an appointment today.
Extreme cold weather coming in through St. Louis this mid-January probably. If you're having issues with your furnace, give me a call. If you are told you need a new furnace, without a question, give me a call. You'll be happy you did. We're all the same when it comes to like buying a furnace and air conditioner, just like with pretty much anything else. If you're like me, I want a furnace that heats, and in the heat of summer, I want an air conditioner that works. Pretty much simple. So is a more high-efficient air conditioner or more high-efficient furnace give me more heat, more cooling? No, it doesn't at all. It gives you the exact same. So with that being said, you need to call me. Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600, or you can do the online thing, and it's Bart Inman, Bart with a B, Inman with an I, .com. God bless.
Is life insurance part of your New Year's resolution? Listen, if you're young and healthy, it's simple, and any old agent can get it done. But if you're 50 to 60 years old with a touch of wide waistband syndrome or have correlating health glitches, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider. Big Lou doesn't bait and switch you in with young and healthy rates only to clobber you with the truth down the road. $1 million of coverage could be as low as $200 per month. And unlike that treadmill, this one won't collect dust in the corner. Call Term Provider, speak with Big Lou, and find out how much he can save you on your new $1 million life insurance policy. Start this year off with peace of mind by calling Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Looking for something smart, soulful, and full of heart? I'm Jen Hatmaker, host of For the Love, the podcast where we talk about what really matters. Love and family, faith and purpose. Every week, I'm joined by incredible guests for honest conversations that invite all of us to live with more intention, more laughter, and more connection. Join us on For the Love wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. Don't forget, we got Steve Butts on the panel and the mayor of Eureka, Sean Flower. We have to do this.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, happy National Polka Dot Day, Fred. Huh? I
That's a good one.
Polka dots. I have them on my luggage. It's very easy to spot. I did not mean that. Yes,
That
I
was
did
clever.
not mean that. It's clever. It's also National Hot Sauce Day, and most importantly, National Answer Your Cat's Questions Day. That only applies to Mark. Now, here's what it said. Per AI, encouraging cat owners like yourself, Mark, to imagine what their feline companions would ask if they could talk and pay closer attention to your cat's needs through behavior, Mark, and meows. And body language.
Let me tell you what I hear, and I see the body language. It's usually around 6 o'clock, and I hear my cat Dash, meow, and that means he wants to go outside, or he wants food, one of the two, and then I kick him outside because he's the one that goes outside a lot. But I love my cats so much, and they all have great personalities, and they do talk to me, and I talk to them.
That's good.
Yes.
They ever ask you about the bunny
That's
or
a good
the dogs?
question.
No,
There,
they play with the bunny. They think the bunny's one of them, I think. But they don't do much with the dogs. They'll cuddle with the dogs. Dashy was cuddling with Max last night. They're just right next to one another. Yeah.
Did
they
that
all get
take
along.
a while? Did that take a while or no?
Sure. It took a good 3 months. We got them in June, and I would say by the end of August is when everybody was getting along.
That's still
But it takes time.
impressive.
I've
Yeah.
done this over the years, so it's not new.
No,
but it
that's
takes
true.
some time. And
Wow.
Olaf, it was the big problem with the other dog. And Olaf's old, right?
Yes.
He wasn't down with it for a while.
Yes.
They are besties. I mean, Olaf wants him there. He cuddles with him, all that.
It's about patience.
It took 3 months. Yeah.
Stamina.
Well, look, I'm not too crazy about him when he was biting my hand
Well,
and stuff
yeah.
like that too. So he's matured.
That's nice. All right, on this day in history, 97 years ago, in 1929, I think Fred knows this, you may too, the New York Yankees announced they would put numbers on the backs of their uniforms. That is only 97 years old.
And the Yankees still don't put names on the back of their uniforms, do they?
Yeah, why is that?
Because it's a
Tradition.
team tradition, right? It's
Oh,
not about the
tradition.
individual, right?
Well, of course, Babe Ruth was number 3. Lou Gehrig was number 4 because the first numbers were based on positions in batting order. 97 years ago today. And 42 years ago, in 1984, a Ridley Scott-directed commercial introduced the Apple Macintosh computer
Oh,
during
yeah.
Super Bowl 18.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
The L.A. Raiders, by the way, beat the Redskins 38-9, and Barry Manilow sang the national anthem.
Oh my goodness!
And listen to that. Guess who the MVP was? I don't know if you'd have Marcus Allen.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
yeah.
about that? I just found that
year was
interesting.
that?
Yeah, what year?
1984. 1984.
Would that have still been Madden?
Would that
I
still
don't
been
know.
who?
John
oh,
Madden.
I don't
Wait a minute,
know.
and who won? The L.A. Raiders?
Yeah,
They
Raiders.
said the Raiders won.
38-9.
Right.
You could check that
1984.
No, I believe it. I just Wasn't it like Oakland?
Yeah.
Okay.
What? You're saying that they called it the Los Angeles Raiders.
Oh,
Was it
okay.
Oakland?
Yeah.
Back
Oh.
then.
Was it?
Yeah, like
Maybe?
Why did they call it L.A. in my story? That's weird.
That is weird.
I don't
Because that's
understand
the
that.
random fact. Well, a random fact. And then 32 years ago today, the reason I bring this up, it was 1994 when Telly Savalas died.
Oh, wait a second. Hang on.
Okay.
Remember, this is the thing. And this,
Okay.
Remember that little stretch where the Raiders went to L.A.? That's when it was.
I'll be darned. Sue's News, finally, something right.
And then I think they moved right back. I'm going to look into that. But yes,
Okay.
it was the L.A. Raiders. You are correct.
We threw the flag.
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
And it was Tom.
Yes.
By the way, it was Tom Flores. 'cause
Thank you.
It was Madden was already retired at that time.
Oh, okay. It's kind of good to know. And 32 years ago today, in 1994, Telly Savalas passed away. Okay, the lollipops, blah, blah. But here's what I didn't know. He passed away a day after turning 70. But he was Jennifer Aniston's godfather.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that, and that's why I'm bringing it up.
In that era, who was your favorite TV detective? What is it?
Oh,
Kojak? Mannix?
I was still too young to watch those. Just barely. Did you watch those?
I watched all of them. Yeah.
Did you like Telly?
Of course. Yeah.
Maybe my mother wasn't.
Well, what
letting me
about Peter
watch
Falk?
Fred.
You're not mentioning.
Oh, yeah, Peter Falk would be a
Peter
good
Falk.
one, yeah.
I like a good rerun of Peter
Well,
Falk.
you mentioned it the other day, though. I mean, if I had to pick my favorite from that era, it was the Rockford Files, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, I did
The
watch
Raiders played in L.A. from 82 and to 94. They moved back in 95. Boom.
that. Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, when we told you yesterday that William Shatner was eating a bowl of cereal, we saw the picture while driving. Turns out it was all for a Kellogg's Super Bowl commercial.
Makes
That's
sense, though,
right.
right?
He took a few publicity photos at different locations, including behind the wheel, which he says is one of the ridiculous photos he's taken. But the actual commercial will be him inside a spaceship.
Okay.
So look for that commercial during the Super Bowl. All right, and I wanted to mention this. St. Louis has been up for some James Beard Awards. A St. Louis restaurant has been nominated for James Beard Award for Outstanding Restaurant. Let's see. Vicia, and it's near Boyle and Forest Park Avenue, just outside the Central West End. They say it's a vegetable-forward restaurant with a wood-fired hearth and a lovely garden landscape. It looks really nice. And I may have gone there with Ann Steffens, but I'm unclear.
So when I saw this list yesterday, I had not heard of a lot of these restaurants. I need to get out more.
Oh, yeah, it's really good. And for Best New Restaurant, Robin has been nominated. That's at Manchester at Southwest. They call that Midwestern Cuisine Revisited.
Yeah, I want to try that place. I've heard good things.
And Louis in Clayton is up for Outstanding Hospitality.
Is that like Bar Louie?
I don't know.
I guess it
Since
would be.
it didn't say bar,
Yeah,
I was
I know,
like,
it's
maybe
weird.
not. It's like the L.A. Raiders. I'm never unsure. And, okay, this is kind of a cute story. There's a woman named Romeo who uploaded a really brief TikTok last month. And she was singing a new theme song for Dr. Pepper. And in a caption, she said, I had to act on this before someone got sent this in a dream and steals it from me, so I impulsively posted this. She tagged the company, said, please get back to me with a proposition. We could make thousands together. And the video somehow gets over 42 million views. I'm sorry about that, crowd.
Like that. Wow.
5 million likes, over 400,000 bookmarks. Dr. Pepper sees it, says, hold on, you might be onto something. And they unveiled a new commercial featuring the song, and they played it during the college football playoff national champs. Here it is. We've got it. It's just really short.
Theme song for Dr. Pepper, and it goes like this. Dr. Pepper, baby, is good and nice. Doo-doo-doo.
I mean,
isn't that great?
Yeah, it's great, except that can I do something that gets 42 million views as dumb as that? I mean, some of the things that take off are just incredible, right?
Well, she can sing. Maybe you should buy the bass guitar. Well, how about you borrow one and don't use it? And finally, in Sue's News, today's random fact. Hewlett-Packard could have been called Packard-Hewlett. Bill Hewlett and David Packard flipped a coin to decide whose name would go first.
That's a good one. I like that. There you go. We'll come back with Scott Jennings.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Capital One is acquiring finance software startup Brex for $5.15 billion. Brex deals in corporate cards, bill pay, business banking, and travel for various size companies. The deal will be a 50-50 split of cash and stock. If you send or receive email via Outlook, you no doubt have been dealing with issues today. Microsoft users may have received a temporary server issue notification when trying to send or receive an email. The issue has apparently been corrected and infrastructure is in recovery mode. A second straight day of gains for Wall Street. The Dow Industrial's up 307 points, ending at 49,384. The Nasdaq picked up 211 points, and the S&P 500 added 38. And Target has announced 2 new board members ahead of Michael Fidelki taking over as CEO. John Hoke, former Chief Innovation Officer at Nike, and Steve Bratsby's, former CEO of Hanes Brands, will join the board, which now expands to 15 members as it looks to restore growth. That's Your Money Now.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Most people, and that includes most of us, spend decades saving for retirement because we know to do that. That's something we understand. But you're really never taught how to use that money in retirement or come up with a plan that lets you know you will make it all the way through retirement with the money you've got coming in and the money you've saved. This is where people need help, and that's where financial and tax architects come in. They help people all across St. Louis. And what they can do is sit down with you. Okay, here's the money, the income that we've saved. Here's what we'll have coming in. Here's an idea of what we'll get for Social Security. And they come up with a plan for you. But first, go meet them at a class. It's 2.5 hours, and it covers all of this stuff. So it's a free class, but you have to register. FTA-RIA.com, F as in Frank, FTA-RIA.com, and start there and start feeling better about retirement.
Because we have lawyers in all 50 states, I see lots of lawyers' ads. Most seem to be bragging on results, but are they true or misleading? For example, in some cases, a firm may try a case even though the at-fault party has no lawyer, then brag in the ad about their results. My son Matt got one for nearly $50 million, but we never collected one dime. Some lawyers may say they got a result even though they were sitting second chair at a firm like mine, and even though they had little to do with it. Happens all the time. All that glitters is not gold. At Morgan & Morgan, our results are real. Visit forthepeople.com and go to Settlements and Verdicts to see for yourself what your case may be worth before you hire a law firm. Do your homework. Fact check. It's easy and too important not to. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
4:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by our friends at Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Born in the Midwest, built on common sense. FM Talk. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Okay, Ethan is getting Scott Jennings on the phone, but I got to set this up just a little bit because he has been a little viral this week, maybe more than normal. He's on CNN on the panel the other night, and there's this kid who's 25 years old who tries to tell him what he can and cannot say.
I recognize you haven't reviewed all the material anymore. But you have the diverse, the percentage. Who are you to tell me what I can and can't? I've never met you, brother. Listen, I can say whatever I want. They're illegal aliens, and that's what the law calls them, illegal aliens. That's what I'm going to call them. Right. Listen.
All right, so that was this Cameron Kasky kid who tried to tell Jennings he can't use the term illegal aliens. But then Cameron said something else that was interesting.
Initiative that the president is being transparent about this. I would love it if he was more transparent about the human sex trafficking network that he was a part of, but you can't win them all.
Cameron's grateful that the president is being transparent about the Nobel Peace Prize and his desires for Greenland. Scott,
what you mentioned there, John Berman, does not refer to the outrageous comment that Cameron just said, and Jennings is the one who has to point it out.
About that.
You going to let that sit? Are we going to claim here on CNN that the president is part of a global sex trafficking ring? Or,
well,
I mean,
we're going to talk about the Epstein file. Scott, I will do the fact checking as we go along.
Oh, yeah, Berman says that. So then Chris Cuomo, who got booted out of CNN, he's at News Nation right now, went on his social media and scolded Jennings.
Bully now? What are you, tough guy? Because you're talking to this kid who happens to be right, calling people illegals. They're called illegal aliens in the law. And you know what? A long time ago, Republicans and Democrats switched to undocumented.
Okay. No, most of us said illegal because we didn't want to play the language police game, you idiot. So then he closes it.
If you really want to be a part of that, as the expression goes, FAFO, don't be a tough guy. Make tough points. But remember to be decent. You're not a tough guy, okay? You're a guy with slick to the side hair, a slick tongue, and everybody knows what you're doing.
Here he
Don't
is.
be a tough guy.
Yeah, thank you, Chris Cuomo. Don't be a tough guy, Jennings, you big bully, right?
I'm in a fighting mood. I can tell you that, Mark Reardon. By the way, I'm tired of these washed-up former liberal New York-based news people trying to get me killed. I had Keith Olbermann a couple of months ago. Now I got Chris Cuomo. I mean, honestly, this has got to stop. I'm a national treasure. You can't keep putting me in danger like this.
Well, I don't disagree with that at all. But what Chris Cuomo, I think he's on, see, I don't even know this. He's on News Nation, and he's not very relevant. I guess he's trying to be more relevant. But as people just heard in the audio, he lectured you because you had this very interesting exchange with this kid the other night. The first part of it, and I played this audio, Scott, the other day, was on the term illegal alien. You were schooled on what you're allowed to say. But the second part got very interesting, as people just heard, because he essentially called President Trump a pedophile.
Yeah, well, he said he was at the center of a global sex trafficking ring. And, of course, I'm used to this. These Democrat pundits or wannabe pundits come out there. They say things all the time that are completely untrue, and no one ever says anything. And so I asked John Berman, who was anchoring that night, for a fact check. Of course, then Berman was agitated at me.
Yeah.
And said, well, I'll do the fact
right.
check. And then he has the kid repeat it. Then Berman begrudgingly admits,
yes,
well, Trump's never been charged. And then he looks at me and he says, oh, satisfied? As though I've done something wrong by trying to give correct information to the people who are watching our network. It was crazy.
So what is that like in the aftermath of a segment like that? Because you've told me before, even though there's a lot of folks that don't like you at CNN, the management has your back. But, I mean, good Lord, that could have legitimately, and maybe it still will, resulted in a lawsuit.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I know. I mean, so sue me for trying to keep us out of depositions and whatnot. I mean, honestly, every time I hear something like that, it's the first thing that I think of. Like, if we allow this to happen, somebody's going to sue us. We shouldn't do this. Plus, we're a news network. We should give the news, and we can give our opinions, but you have to do it within the bounds of facts. And you have people come on and make absolutely wild, defamatory statements. They did it to Trump. They do it to Elon Musk. I mean, whatever the derangement of the day is, I think they're doing it to these ICE agents, truthfully. And so I don't know. I just feel like, listen, I'm an opinion commentator, but I mean, I have ears and I can hear when things are off the rails. And I thought it was my duty in that moment to say something about it. What are the interactions like? Well, it was a little tense.
Yeah.
But I thought, you know what? Look, if what I accomplished tonight was a key fact check that keeps everybody out of trouble, that's not a terrible thing.
Do you have a relationship, or did you, with Cuomo before he left CNN, or was this out of the blue?
Not much of one.
Okay.
Not much of one. I did his show it was one of the shows, honestly, that I did the least. And of course, we knew each other, but I just didn't do it very often. I never thought much of him. I didn't think he was very good at it. And of course, he got fired by CNN for violating, journalistic ethics practices or whatever. But, we did know each other by happenstance. I think I was on his last ever show on CNN because right after that show I did, his last one, they suspended him and then they fired him. But no, we're not friends. We were acquaintances and colleagues. And, by the way, this is not the first time he's come after me on social media. He has done this before. He has put out videos. He tweets at me. And I'll tell you something, behind the scenes, he has his little producer calling my people once a week, like begging me to come on his stupid podcast. And then he goes out and make videos trying to get people to beat me up or worse in New York City. Can you believe that?
Oh, my God. Well, that's why he's pissed, probably, because you won't come on the podcast. But that, yeah, I mean, look.
Well, the last time he contacted me, I had my person send him a letter and say, Scott's well aware of all the, you're talking about him on social media, and he has no interest in coming on your podcast. Sincerely, Office of Scott Jennings.
I love that. Did you see Jack Smith at all today? I knew you were doing your radio show. Do you see any of the testimony, any reaction to that?
I did not see much of it. I out of the corner of my eye, I saw a couple of exchanges with Jim Jordan. On my show tomorrow, which will air on this radio station tomorrow evening, I am having Chairman Jordan on the show to kind of recap everything that happened.
So I said yesterday, Scott Jennings, to Fred, our generation hasn't had to make military sacrifices like the greatest generation or others, but damn it, I was ready to suit up and go invade Greenland, man. If Trump gave me the green light, I was going. Because you know how realistic it was that we were going to invade Greenland, right?
Well, just for the record, we could have. I mean, the Kentucky Colonels could have been mobilized and taken Greenland. There's only 56,000 people there.
I know,
That's number
right?
one. Number two, this is a historically good idea. William Seward wanted it. Harry S. Truman wanted it. American presidents and diplomats have recognized for over 150 years that Greenland is a key strategic resource. So Trump's idea was not just some, harebrained scheme. It was rooted in American history and thinking about that region. I guess it's a good deal out of it. I still want to own it, but, my view is if the president's happy with it, I'm happy with it. Having control of Greenland, though, is a security necessity for the U.S., and if this deal effectively gives us that, I guess so be it.
It looks like he did a complete art of the deal. He throws some head fakes and he's working behind the scenes, and it looks to me like they got a pretty good deal out of it. J.D. Vance is in Minnesota this afternoon. Minneapolis made a speech. I'm going to play a little audio as the afternoon moves on. I totally think that what happened to Renee Good was tragic and sad, but she put herself in that situation. Now, having said that, Scott, I'm a little worried that some of this immigration stuff is getting away from Republicans. And a lot of that's because of the legacy media, but I'm a little nervous right now.
So a couple things. I think the propaganda campaign is in full swing. They're doing to this Minneapolis what they did to Gaza, to be honest with you, making up stories, things that didn't happen, promoting them as having happened. They've created an alternate reality. The key issue in Minneapolis is that Walz, the governor, and honorary Somali pirate Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, they will not cooperate with federal ICE agents. In other words, hey, come into the jails. When we pick someone up, we'll transfer them to you and we'll be done with it. That's what virtually everybody else in the country does. They won't do it. They release violent illegal aliens from their jails back onto the streets. So then ICE has to show up and pick them up off the streets. That's a lot more labor intensive than just taking control of them in the jails. I'm in Arkansas, by the way, doing my show today. That's what they do here. There's no chaos in Arkansas because there's cooperation between the feds and the state. As a political matter, I still believe immigration and border security are the president's two best issues. I think they're the best successes from the first year. And he told everybody every day for 10 years, I'm going to secure the border and I'm going to get control of this illegal immigration crisis. He has done it. And the idea that Minnesota should exist in a place where they don't have to enforce federal laws, why? I mean, why do you get to exist in a state of secession? It's ridiculous.
So you beat me to the punch because I knew you were in Arkansas. You have Sarah Huckabee Sanders on the show tonight, right? That you'll hear on 97.1 FM Talk?
Yep. Had Governor Sanders here. She is terrific, by the way.
I
This
love her.
Capitol is beautiful.
Yeah.
She is awesome. She is one of the most competent and well-liked governors in the nation. She's getting she'll get reelected this year. In fact, we talked about the ice storm that's coming through. She was telling me about how they're preparing for that. Her dad, we talked about Mike Huckabee. He's currently ambassador to Israel. Great family, great governor. I'm a huge Sarah fan. Sign me up for whatever Sarah Sanders wants to do in the future. She's terrific.
I'm with you. I like her a lot. Now, you have, I told Fred today, we lose so many people. We lost like 8 people to the administration, like Tom Homan, people who were regular guests, right? Now it looks like we're going to lose Michelle Tafoya because she's running for the Senate. I think you have Michelle on the show also, don't you?
I had Michelle yesterday.
Oh, okay, yesterday.
Yep, she launched her campaign, and I think it puts Minnesota in play. I think Minnesota, you get outside of Minneapolis, and people in Minnesota are actually normal. It's only inside Minneapolis that it's become like a open air insane asylum or whatever.
Yeah.
But out the rest of the state, I think they're looking for somebody to be a normal person. And the Democrat most likely to be the nominee is that nutty Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. I mean, she's one of these people who's out encouraging folks to, I think at one point she said, put our bodies on the line to fight ICE agents. I mean, she has blood on her hands, in my opinion. She's the one encouraging people to get in the middle of active law enforcement situations. People are going to get hurt because of people like Flanagan. Tafoya is a conservative. She's common sense. She's well-spoken. People know her. They like her. This gives Republicans a chance, like in Minnesota, like they have not had in a statewide election in years.
It's a long shot, but the name recognition is huge. I mean, she's on the sidelines for decades. People know who Michelle Tafoya is, and she's been a great guest for me. I heard you. I want you to share the story because every once in a while I hear you tell a story, and I feel like I know all your stories, but this one I did not know. You're on a podcast. You put this on Twitter. Your birthday is the same day as Hillary Clinton's birthday, correct? October 26th.
That's right.
So explain this little birthday card thing that you put together a while back.
I did this thing called the Adam Friedland podcast. I'd never heard of this, but he's like this funny little talk show host. Anyway, he found out that several years ago in 2016, I came up with this idea to send to every voter in the state of Kentucky the Hillary Clinton birthday card. And it had, because it came right at the end of the election. And it was one of those cards where you open it and it plays a song or, it says something.
Yeah.
By the way, these things are hard to manufacture, but I figured out how to do it. And basically you opened up the card and said, it's Hillary Clinton's birthday. Let's ruin Hillary's birthday by voting against every Clinton Democrat on the ballot. And it had this crazy picture of her like jumping out of a cake. Anyway, it was this beautiful piece of political direct mail. And this kid, Adam Friedland, found out about it, and we had a good laugh about it. But I attribute that piece of mail. That was the year we took control, Republicans, of the state house in Kentucky. And I think that piece of mail had a lot to do with it. I have been plotting to ruin Hillary's birthday for a long time, and that's what the card said. Let's ruin Hillary's birthday. Vote against every Clinton Democrat on the ballot. And by the way, that's what the people of Kentucky did. So it was fun to relive.
I'm with, you know what, though? I've changed my mind. I'm with Chris Cuomo. You're just a bully, Jennings. You're just a bully. Look at you. Hey, one Cardinals topic as we kind of, two questions. You and Joe going to spring training or not this year?
I am trying desperately to get it on my calendar. I've been having a lot of events in Florida, and I was down in Palm Beach the other day, and I was driving past Jupiter, and I was like, I got to get back down. In fact, I met a guy who's like the clubhouse attendant for the spring training facility at one of my book events down there. He was a big fan of mine, and so I took his card. But, yes, I am desperately hoping to get down there and meet all the players I've never heard of.
But you saw the Yachty news. It looks like he's finally – this was supposed to happen a couple of years ago, but now we might see him in the dugout every once in a while.
Well, that would be great. Yeah. Because we're going to have a young team and a lot of guys trying to prove themselves and a lot of guys who, could probably use the experience and wisdom of Yadier Molina. We're in a rebuilding. And so keeping morale up, I think, for the organization and the city is going to be a big deal this year. Who keeps morale up like Yadier Molina? If you had Molina and Wainwright and some of these guys hanging around a little bit,
I'd be good.
I think it would be signal from the organization like, hey, everybody that's, a legend in this organization is behind what we're trying to do. Bear with us. They're going to bear with us. They're going to help keep us afloat from a coaching and a morale perspective. That would send a great signal, so I hope he does it.
So are you in Arkansas because you also have a book event, or is that separate? And then the question would be, why the hell aren't you coming to Missouri? I failed because we couldn't put a book event together. I did try. It was a little complicated, but we still need to get you here to St. Louis or at least to Jeff City or something.
Yeah, I need to get up there, and I think we just kind of ran out of days. I did so many book events.
I know, and
I do want to do one, and we ran into the holidays. I'm in Little Rock because tonight I'm delivering the keynote address at the Arkansas Right to Life annual dinner, and so when I've been doing these speeches, which I do a lot of,
right,
I've been doing my radio show on location. The other day I did it in the Florida State Capitol. I did it in the U.S. Capitol earlier in January. I think I'm doing the Texas State Capitol in March. So what I'm trying to do is take the radio show on the road a little bit and have people in fact, yesterday I was in Santa Barbara, California, and I had all these people from the Republican National Committee. I was at their winter meeting come by. So I think radio kind of works well in the field.
Oh, yeah,
and,
I agree.
I'm trying to bring that out a little bit.
We have a great governor in Mike Kehoe, and if you don't know him, I'd love to introduce him. He would be very accommodating in Jeff City if you decide to do the Missouri Capitol. All right, Jennings, thank you so much. Stay out of trouble. Good Lord. Stay alive, too.
I know. I'm going to mark myself safe from Chris Cuomo for now, but I haven't been back to New York since this all happened, so I got to watch my back. from Chris Cuomo up there.
All right, brother.
Terrible.
Take care, Scott.
See ya.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, it hasn't been too bad this afternoon, but westbound 70 is looking a lot better. Still a bit of a slow go. We had an earlier accident at Branch. In fact, westbound 70, just some moderate volume here and there on your way to Wentzville. 6440 is worse. It's jammed approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. Lindbergh through 270 is slow. And then west of Winghaven out through the 70 split. Some volume southbound 170 headed for 64. Southbound 270 has slow pockets as well. That's mainly moderate, but it's approaching Olive all the way down through Gravois. And then it starts to look better. 55 slowing south of Arsenal through Bates. And we look pretty good on the bridges downtown, but 40 is starting to slow, headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
Annie here, and I can proudly say no more spiders in my home. I use Point Pest Control 4 times a year, and I haven't seen any, not a single one, since they've been in my home. Mention Annie and get 10% on top of any other special. Point Pest Control, 636-798-0023.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsend. Many of our clients are victims of negligent drivers. They put their trust in us, and we help them recover physically and financially. Their words carry more weight than ours.
They guided me through every step of the legal process with clarity and expertise, ensuring that I always felt informed and supported.
Injured? Call Kaufman Townsley. It costs you nothing to call, but may cost you everything if you don't. Call 314-777-7777.
It's 2026. Time to get your home zero resified. 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 plus a free hallway and 15% off regularly priced services when you mention 97.1 FM Talk. It's ZeroResSTL.com.
SSM Health welcomes the St. Louis Golf Expo January 30th through February 1st at St. Charles Convention Center. Buy big brands with Pro-Am Golf, test your skills, and win prizes while they last. VIP tickets at STLGolfExpo.com.
Setting goals for your retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another. For tips on building a better nest egg, listen to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 6 or Saturday afternoon at 4, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Wondering if dangerous contaminants are in your home's water? Get Leaf Home Water Solutions today. We can't live without water, but we can take actions today to make it safer and healthier. Leaf Home Water Solutions is offering a free in-home water test. Just visit leafhome.com/free to schedule yours. With results from their advanced digital testing, Leaf Home Water Solutions can design a whole home system and expertly install it in as little as 1 day. With Leaf Home Water Solutions, you can feel confident that each drop of water from every tap and appliance is cleaner and safer for you and your family. We can't live without water, but we can take actions today to make our family's water safer with Leaf Home Water Solutions. Schedule your free home water test today at leafhome.com/free and save 15% on all home water treatment systems. That's leafhome.com/free for your free home water test and 15% off. leafhome.com/free.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know, we had Dave Murray on to kick off the hour to give us an updated forecast, and he indicated, you know, there's still a lot of question marks about this storm because, and Sue, you correct me if you hear anything wrong. I try to play a meteorologist, but I'm not actual one. He said once the storm kind of goes over the Rockies,
Then we'll know more.
Yeah, because even, 25 or 30 miles in the line can make a difference. But I just got some updated totals. We were talking an hour ago, maybe 5 to 10, maybe, right? But now I'm seeing 6 to 12 or 7 to 14 in parts of the listening area.
We don't know.
They don't know. I mean, now I'm to the point where, especially since it's a Saturday, man, I'd be thrilled with a foot of snow. I really would be. I like a lot of. Yeah, I like it.
I don't mind getting a foot of it if it'll melt within 3 days.
Well, it's not going to melt.
And that's just it. We'll have it forever. Okay, my phone now says 3 to 5.
Okay. Well, the thing, I don't know if we can trust the phones, but yes, you're right. But does it say what Dave indicated? And this is true. 3 to 5, maybe Saturday afternoon, but there's going to be another round of it, right? So,
I'm confused about that part. But he said he said we're not going to really know until it gets to the Rockies,
right.
And that's not going to happen.
But aren't you kind of at the point where if we don't get a fair amount of snow on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be pissed?
Well, yeah.
Maybe a little bit?
At least be like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, John Ziegler's coming up after the top of the hour. We may battle on some things today. I don't know if I agree with him on everything. We're going to talk about the Timothy Busfield case because there's some really interesting things related to that. If you haven't heard about his charges, we'll get into that. We'll have Chris Clem here at the bottom of the hour. He is a former Yuma Sector Border Patrol chief. He has a lot of reaction to what's happening in Minneapolis and some of the ICE arrests that have been going on. So Chris is always an outstanding guest. He'll join us a little after 5:30. Plus, I have an audio cut of the day. Now, I haven't mentioned tomorrow very much. We do have a Reardon Roundtable. State Rep Steve Butts will be on the panel. The mayor of Eureka, Missouri, Sean Flower, Paul Hall with some entertainment recommendations. We'll get Cusimano with a preview of the weekend in sports, including the NFC and the AFC championship games on Sunday. Brian Kilmeade will make an appearance on a Friday, and then Jen Say is going to join us tomorrow afternoon as well. And, Jen's going to comment. Barry Weiss, they kind of did a hit piece on Barry Weiss in Variety. She's the new head of CBS and CBS News. And Jen used to run Levi's. And she offers some interesting analogies to the employees that were trying to, break bad on her when she first took over the company to try to improve it. So some interesting stuff there. That's all tomorrow afternoon.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we've got some heavy traffic on 44, and this is in both directions, mostly eastbound. But just east of Kings Highway, that due to road work. Westbound 40 is lined up before you even get to Kings Highway. Out through McCausland, then in pockets out through 70. Southbound 170, a slow go south of Olive through 64. Eastbound 40 slowing on either side of 170. Out west, westbound lines up again, and this is past Winghaven out through the 70 split. 64 is worse than 70. It just has moderate volume along 70. And if you're headed into Illinois, not bad right now. 55 southbound on the Missouri side, slow. Headed down toward Bates in the never-ending construction zone. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, this is a great time, even though it's really going to be cold this weekend, to start thinking about spring and summer and your home, because you got to get ahead of big projects like new James Hardie fiber cement siding via Banner Construction. Banner's the best here in St. Louis. They've been at it since 1993. They want to make your home the best-looking home in the neighborhood. They have a lot of experience doing this, and they do it with the best products out there, like the James Hardie fiber cement siding. Premium siding can protect one of your biggest investments for years. Making the choice of the right contractor to work with that product is also very important. Maybe you're looking at new windows. You feel all the cold air coming in and you're not energy efficient. We'll do something about it with beautiful Pella windows, and they can help you with that at Banner Construction. But let me reemphasize my original point. You got to get going on this. These are big projects. They take planning. Prices go up if you wait. Don't be that person. 314-569-1050. That's a free in-home design consultation. The website, bannerconstruction.com, and tell them that I sent you along.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. The doctors, or just the best doctors to see for your best vision in St. Louis. 314-966-5000, the doctors. They've treated more than 250 doctors. That's more than any other practice. Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Bersati, Dr. Andy Royer. 314-966-5000 is their phone number. 314-966-5000. Dr. Birdie, Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye, dry eye, allergy eye, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, LASIK surgery. The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates, experts. Call for an appointment today, 314-966-5000, or visit them online, youridoc.com, 12990 Manchester Road, quarter mile west of 270. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings, up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Tens of millions in the path of a major winter storm. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The storm expected to impact 40 states from New Mexico to New York, and the impacts could last for days. Arkansas and Virginia have joined Georgia, Texas, and South Carolina, declaring states of emergency.
When you talk about travel, that is expected to come to a screeching halt starting Friday, continuing into next week. The worst of the icing is expected to be centered around the I-40 corridor. I do think that the lower Mississippi Valley, an area that we need to watch very closely for ice that could amount to over an inch. It's in that zone that we're expecting to see widespread power outages. So preparations are key. We're in the final phase right now of making sure you have what you need to get through this storm and beyond into next week.
Fox Weather's Jane Menard. In the Northeast, forecasters say historic snowfall is expected, with about a foot of snow predicted for New York City. Once the storm blows through on Monday, forecasters warn of dangerously cold weather in much of the country. Vice President J.D. Vance visited Minneapolis this afternoon, holding a roundtable with local leaders and the public. He called on them to work with federal immigration officials instead of against them.
Working with state and local officials, we can make the worst moments of chaos much less common, and all they've got to do is meet us halfway.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry and Governor Tim Walz have called for ICE to leave the state. The House has rejected a Democrat-backed resolution that would have prevented President Trump from sending U.S. military forces to Venezuela. Separately, the House has approved this year's final batch of spending bills. The 4 bills total about $1.2 trillion and now move to the Senate. Final passage is needed by next week to avoid a partial government shutdown. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
We do have a winter storm on the way, but not until Saturday. Some clouds tonight. It's dry, very cold and windy. Pretty good temperature drop, 12 degrees. Friday, dry day. A mix of clouds and sunshine, windy and very cold, only 14 for the high. Friday night, dry. Clouds take over, very cold, 4 degrees. Then on Saturday, periods of snow, especially developing for the afternoon, windy and cold. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Kind of weird that it's Thursday because of the holiday and we were off all this week trying to figure my way around as we navigate the weekend. And we keep getting these, I mentioned this before the end of the hour, the snowfall totals keep evolving. And now in the St. Louis area, the National Weather Service is even saying 7 to 14, 6 to 10. That's what I just showed you on the map. That
It's all over the place.
Yeah, we don't know. We'll probably get like a half inch or something like that.
Yeah.
That's essentially what happens.
But it will be cold and windy, and that's the bad part.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be brutally cold. It's like I like to say, I'm sure you'll love this description. It's when the nose hairs start to freeze up on you. See, that's not a good thing at all. We'll have a Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. State Rep Steve Butts will be here and Sean Flowers. Sadly, it will be my first roundtable without Jane Bucher because should we just start spreading rumors about her or something like that?
No, we're not going to do that.
Well, she went to work for Catherine Hanaway, the Attorney General of Missouri, and her last roundtable was 2 weeks ago, and I took last Friday off. So we're going to have only 2 panelists tomorrow. Sue, you come on in. Coming into the fight tomorrow.
Okay.
You can be the new Jane. What that means is you have to interrupt everyone.
Oh, okay.
Just remember that.
Okay.
We got John Ziegler on the line. I'm very much looking forward to this because there's a bunch of things on my mind. Co-host of the podcast, The Death of Journalism. Zig, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well here in Southern California. The big decision was whether or not I should wear slacks or shorts to the golf course today. So
yeah, which did you go with?
Difficult weather.
By just out of curiosity, did you go with the shorts look or not?
I'm really not, I don't have a good tan going, so I went with the slacks.
How's the game right now? Because you're pretty damn good. What's your handicap?
Usually around a 1.
Oh,
but
you're so
I'm trying
modest.
to get ready for. I'm trying to get ready for tournaments. But,
so you are like a scratch golfer for real.
I should be,
Yeah.
but I've played at a scratch level in many tournaments in the past. But we'll see what happens this year. But I don't think your audience really cares that much about that.
But I care. I don't think they. But it doesn't matter. I care about it. You got to come here to St. Louis and we'll play Belle Reve. I'm not a member, but I'll get you on there. I have some sway.
That sounds like a deal.
All right. Well, we got the BMW coming up later this year here, so that's exciting. Let's start. I want to start with college football. Okay. And I want to ask you some questions about this because you have on this show and then on social media pretty much declared the death of amateur sports and collegiate sports because of NIL. And I understand I've got a lot of issues and it's the Wild West, John, and I understand all that. But as someone who is an alum of the University of Missouri who has really not had a program that ever could compete at the highest levels, if you will, in basketball we have, but never football. But what happened with the University of Indiana actually gives me hope, maybe it's false hope, that something like that could happen for my school and for our fans, which would never happen without NIL. Because Indiana never would have been 16-0 and had this remarkable story without NIL. So I know you're a big critic of that, but isn't there some truth to that as well?
It's a great question, and I'd love to talk to you about it for as long as you want because here's my response to that. Yeah. There's probably more hope, especially given what happened with Indiana, which is a crazy story, right? Crazy story. I mean, for guys our age, in my view, it's on the level of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that level of insanity, except it's fake. It's not real. It's a mirage. Nobody went to Indiana University because they wanted to go to Indiana University or they grew up wanting to go to Indiana University, or their father or their uncle or their mom or whatever went to Indiana University. They were all 23, 24-year-old mercenaries, including their quarterback, who's a fantastic story, who 13 months ago, after beating Stanford, gave an emotional speech where he said, "Bears forever," and then he transferred 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's fake. It is completely mercenary. It's all transactional. It has no essence. It's fake.
Okay.
And
but,
so if that's
and
what you want,
I can't argue
if
with
that's
that.
what you want.
Yeah.
If you want to go spend at the University of Missouri, you want to spend $30-40 million
Yes.
to get a fake championship
Yes,
so you
I
can
do.
hang a banner.
Yes.
Good luck.
I do want that though, because look, my buddy Alex Rich, who is on the show, he played baseball at Indiana, And he has gone to several of the games, including the Rose Bowl. He can't get the smile off his face. Our sports director from KMOX, Tom Ackerman, they can't get the smiles off their face. So their enjoyment is real. Look, John, I understand your criticism. I really do. And I have some concerns. And, it's crazy. I don't know how you rein that stuff back in. But it's the playing field that we're left with right now. So I get your criticism.
Your friends who, congratulations. I think that's fantastic. I hope they got joy out of it. I really do, honestly. But it's essentially a Santa Claus-like situation here where, they are still believing. So great. You want to believe as long as you can, that's fantastic. But it's not real. It used to be real. Now it's fake.
Well, it's the reality that we have, so it's real, isn't it?
Well, again, why did Indiana University win this championship? Was it because there's anything unique about the university? No.
I don't know that it's unique about the university, but I think there's a lot of different factors. Look, he brought, Cignetti brings kids from James Madison, which is not exactly a top-tier school, and they play above their ability. There's these 4-star, 5-star recruits at all these other SEC schools.
They came because of Cignetti. They didn't come because of the Indiana University.
And the money. Right.
I mean, look, again, I'm not diminishing the achievement of the players and the coaches. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. 2 years ago, it would have been impossible to conceive of this. From an athletic perspective, it's amazing. But I don't see any great value in it if I'm an IU alum. Because in my view, one of the great things about college athletics was that it wasn't just the prior year that determined how your program did. You could go back generations in a cumulative fashion to determine, who was going to end up going to that school in that year for that class, that senior year, where everything came together for one magic moment. Well, that's all gone now because, and actually Indiana proves that. Because they erased their entire crap history in 2 years.
Well, yeah, they did. Most losing team in Division I. It's crazy. But so do you see any scenario where, the players are going to get paid, right, where this can somehow be less crazy?
Well, I think you remember, I believe I've been more prescient about NIL and instant transfers than anything else I've ever been in my entire career. Because for 7 or 8 years, I've been screaming bloody murder to anyone who would listen, and no one did, that this was a disaster waiting to happen.
Oh, I know. I saw your complaints, yeah.
And basically, the short version of this is liberals got duped into thinking this was a civil rights issue. Conservatives got duped into thinking this was a free market issue. It was neither. But the Pandora's box has been opened, and there's no putting the box back together. There's no way to do it now. I think there's 100 different ways that we could have done this differently, that things would have been far more sane than they currently are. But now the courts don't even recognize the NCAA as having any power. I don't even know how they can put their pants on in the morning. They don't have the authority to do anything. Because the court system, led by Brett Kavanaugh, and I'm baffled by what Kavanaugh did in the most critical Supreme Court ruling, completely eviscerated the entire authority of the NCAA. Now, look, I hated the NCAA. I literally, with Franco Harris, went after the president of the NCAA with a camera and a microphone, going after him because of how he blew the Penn State Paterno case. I despise the NCAA. But it's better to have at least some authority that can institute and enforce rules than to have the Wild West.
It is the Wild West. Yeah, it's probably going to get wilder. But I've got a good quarterback from Mississippi that's going to be behind my team next year, so I'm excited about that. Let's talk about Timothy Busfield. So this comes out a couple of weeks ago. Allegations that on the set of a show that he was directing, he was diddling little boys. He says this.
Hi, everybody. It's Tim. I'm sure most of you know that are watching this that I was ordered to come to Albuquerque. I'm here now. I got the call Friday night. I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car. I drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys. And I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it with a great team. and I'm going to be exonerated. I know I am, because this is all so wrong and all lies.
So then backing that up is some audio that got released from a police interview with the accusers.
So you know what's right and wrong, right?
Yeah.
You know no one could touch your private areas?
Yeah, but he didn't touch that part.
Doesn't touch your private parts? Okay. And you know what's right and wrong, right? You know where people can't touch, where people can't do. Yeah, you know that, right? Does Tim ever do that?
No, he's never touched me.
Never touched you?
Yeah.
In like, you know, your private areas, right?
Yeah.
Never did that?
Never.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. So how does that
Yeah.
then result in Timothy Busfield being charged with these crimes?
Well, my understanding, according to the prosecution, is that after those interviews, these two 11-year-old twin boys went to a therapist. And when I saw the prosecutor tell the judge that the therapist should be viewed as a neutral third party, I almost lost my lunch, because having dealt with stories like this, most prominently the Jerry Sandusky case, but others as well. And trust me, I take no joy in these cases at all. I did not want to touch the Busfield case, but it is so eerily similar to the Sandusky situation. I had to dive in. And I'm telling you, the dirty little secret in these situations is therapists are not neutral third parties. From a number of different perspectives and for a variety of possible motivations. We also know that the parents in this situation have a horrendous track record. I don't know if you've researched that, but they are basically con people, and it's on the record in legal filings and law rulings and lawsuits and convictions. I mean, these people have no credibility. And it certainly seems, as if what happened here was that these parents tried to manipulate the kids. I think in that interview that you just heard, the kids are basically getting afraid of lying to the police. They decide to tell the police the truth. They probably knew at that point what their parents wanted to say, but they don't want to lie to the police. And then later, the therapist is able to coax out a story that's good enough for a prosecutor in New Mexico where nothing's going on, and they're looking for a headline, and they think this is a juicy story. This will be great. And, you know, let's face it, trying to prove these cases has gotten a hell of a lot easier in recent times, which I think is a travesty, because I think a lot of innocent people are being accused of things they didn't do, and it certainly seems as if Busfield is one of them. Now, I don't know that, because I don't know the people involved in the case. We don't have all the facts, but the fact that he was let out without bail is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, obviously I have a bias here because of the connection to the Sandusky case, and I'm 100% convinced that Jerry Sandusky, believe it or not, is not just innocent but totally innocent. There are so many similarities here, but the biggest differences are why Busfield has a shot here. Number one is Melissa Gilbert. Miss Melissa Gilbert, obviously Laura Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie, is an American icon. As long as she sticks with him, which she seems as if she will, he's got a shot.
Yeah.
Because she gives him credibility. He also does not have the distraction of the whole Joe Paterno Penn State angle on this, because Penn State in the Sandusky case was perceived, understandably, as pleading guilty on Sandusky's behalf when they fired Joe Paterno and the president of the university and gave $100 million+ to all these accusers, and everyone said, "Oh, it must be true." Well, while Busfield is being abandoned in Hollywood, his management team, dropped him, and he's been thrown under the bus by NBC and Amazon. It hasn't gotten to the level of what happened with Sandusky yet, and I think him getting out of jail is a huge win for him. And it seems to me pretty clear that this did not happen, or at the very least, there's no current evidence that it happened, and it should be a cautionary tale, especially to the media, to jump to conclusions and rush to judgment in these cases, because they're not always telling the truth, especially when parents who are con people are potentially behind manipulating their own kids for monetary gain.
This is a little different, but did you by any chance, I had Kat Rosenfield on about a piece that she wrote in the FP, the Free Press, about the author of 13 Reasons Why. Did you read that story by any chance this week?
I don't think I did.
I'm going to forward it to you. It's really interesting. It's a separate but related thing. So this guy Jay Asher, who wrote, that became a Netflix series. He was in this young adult fiction genre, right? Well, he was a serial philanderer. He cheated on his wife, and then he cheated on the people he was cheating on his wife with. That's something he admits. But when you read this story, John, it's really kind of about cancel culture and how these things take off. And then the agent drops you and your friends drop you. And he was accused of some things anonymously that were never even close to being proven. But because they showed up in the comments section of a piece and a blog, people started taking off with it. And even though he was kind of a despicable person when it comes to his marriage, his whole life has been ruined. I think you would really find this. It's a great, great read.
Well, I hope he will send it to me. But I think that what your most important thing you just said there is people's lives cannot recover from this allegation. This is literally the worst allegation you can have.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how Bucci gets his life back, even if the charges are dropped.
He doesn't.
Which I think there's a pretty good chance they may be, given the current factual record. But he's never going to get his full life back.
No, not at all. And that's why I get concerned about. And by the way, if he's guilty, I hope he's punished. But I think there's a lot of reason, and you're offering a great example with Sandusky, to be very cautionary here with the way that the facts are coming out. And look, he's being defiant and screaming at the top of his lungs, which is, I think, what you do if you're trying to prove your innocence. So I'll be very interested in seeing how that's moving forward. One more question, just because we're talking about, and you talk about media a lot. Any evolving thoughts on Barry Weiss at CBS?
I'm conflicted about this. I thought that she was an interesting but dangerous pick because I don't think she was qualified for the job, just from her own experience perspective. I like her politically in that she's, a liberal who's anti-woke and is certainly open to the other side and seems devoted to truth. But to take, a person who was an opinion columnist at the New York Times and then ran the Free Press for a fairly short period of time and make them the head of CBS News.
That's a big jump.
It's in my opinion, it's unheard of. It's unprecedented. No one's ever done that before. But I also understand that there's a motivation for people within CBS who don't like the political positioning of CBS and Tony DeCouple, who I actually like, who is definitely more middle of the road, maybe even center right, in my opinion. The leftists within CBS, and especially the old school people at 60 Minutes, they're going to have an incentive to attack Barry as being incompetent.
Absolutely. Look,
because they don't like the politics of it. And it is kind of interesting to see some liberals attacking a young woman who gets this great opportunity, right? I thought we were all supposed to be down with women getting opportunities in management, especially in media. But that doesn't seem to be the case if they're actually stirring things up from a political perspective.
Look, I have now, I guess I have to say, former friend, because I'm a Nazi and all this stuff. I actually pointed out on the X, formerly Twitter, that males who are born with penises are males and women are not if they have penises. Something as simple as that.
Wow.
Anyway, this is someone who's a pretty big higher up at CBS News in New York and has been for a while and is about bat blank crazy with the progressive stuff that you can ever imagine. And they all are. I mean, so to find, for Variety, to find 10 people that don't like what Barry, they can find 1,000 people in CBS probably because they're all used to getting their way and doing agenda journalism. And she's trying to go in there and hopefully do something different. I get what you're saying about the experience level because that is a big jump. And you're right, John, it's unprecedented. I hope she can maybe shake things up in a meaningful way, and I think that the jury's still out on that, obviously.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work in the ratings because I don't think we live in the world anymore where straight down the middle news that doesn't directly appeal to one side or the other is going to get a large enough audience to be successful. That's why I do a podcast called The Death of Journalism. Journalism is dead because the business model is totally and completely broken. And I think CBS, unfortunately, is going to prove that.
Yeah.
Because there's no way for that to win because their core audience of liberals is going to flee, and conservatives are not going to trust CBS enough that they're actually going to be good faith actors.
Yeah, that's a bad combination. You're right about that. So then how do you measure, the level of success? That becomes a lot more difficult. John Ziegler, always great to have you on. At least you were not fired up this afternoon or opinionated or anything like that.
Always good talking to you, Mark.
Yeah, check that story. I just sent you the story. I think you'd find it very interesting. All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad commute, but we do have some volume. Westbound 70, Jennings Station Road, a little bit past the airport and in pockets on out through Wentzville, but the pockets are only moderate volume. There was some volume eastbound on 70. We had an accident reported really near Bryan Road. Now, westbound 6440 is heavier, and that's more like Kings Highway in pockets on out through 70. Southbound 270, slow pockets from Olive down through just about Gravois before it looks better. It's pretty slow on southbound 170, south of Olive through 40. And southbound 55 is heavy and slow, mostly from Broadway on down through Bates. And we've got an accident reported now on 44 near Madison. So if you're downtown or in front of the Arch grounds, it's a slow go for those westbound 44 drivers. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broken, it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly, cause they're open till 8, jerrykelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. Jerry Kelly.
Hey, Stewie, I need some cash. I need money. Who doesn't need money? What can you do for me?
You know, and Annie, this is a question people ask all the time. Now, pay attention because this is important. Don't get a home equity line of credit. A home equity line of credit is a credit card in your house. It's typically not a fixed rate, so it's an adjustable. You pay interest only. And there's a short-term opportunity to take the money out, and then later on, it turns into a loan that's a really high interest rate. Cash out refinance. That's the most important thing. Refinance your entire mortgage. Get the best rate that's out there. Give yourself the opportunity to refinance later when the rates drop. A cash out refinance is a little bit higher of a rate than a rate and term refinance. Do the cash out now, set yourself up for the future, and get the best deal out there. Just do me one favor. Don't tell my wife about this because she's going to want all the cash in the world to buy a new car.
Well, if you want to know more, Google the Bagel Loan to find out more information or call my friend Stewie, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hi, I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, America's largest family law firm. During this time of year, difficult relationships sometimes become impossible. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio every Saturday at 2, right here on 97.1 FM Talk, and you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
I think I used this yesterday for Audio Cut of the Day, Sue, but I know that I played the audio, and I did not know her name, and now we have her name. And look, I'm not going to tell you that I love the fact that all these people or anyone is exposed online. I don't like being doxxed or anything like that. But this is, I think, a little different. This is Lexi Lawler, who is a labor and delivery nurse at Baptist Health Boca Raton Regional Hospital in Florida. And she went on to TikTok, and then people get a hold of this, of course, and they get it out there. And Libs of TikTok, which is one of the sites on Twitter as well, put this out, and they say, meet Lexi Lawler, labor and delivery nurse at Baptist Health Boca Raton. She hopes that Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt suffers a severe fourth-degree tear during childbirth and has medical complications. And here is the audio of that, what she said.
My wish for Caroline Leavitt. She is pregnant with a baby girl, and I truly do hope that baby is so healthy. I hope she's healthy and headstrong. So headstrong, in fact, that as she is emerging into this world through Caroline's geriatric garage, that she tears her from bow to f***ing stern. Grade 4 tear. Like so big that when she gets out of the shower naked and walks across the room, like she accidentally picks up dog toys. Yeah, that's my wish.
I mean, that's a woman.
What is the matter with her?
She delivers babies. She actually is in the delivery room helping deliver babies. And that's what she said. Now, that person does not deserve to keep her job after something as vile as that.
Especially considering the job she had.
Right. I mean, you got your freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, but there are consequences for your actions. And that is disgusting to have anyone. I mean, you have medical ethics, right? In these, what's funny, and I don't know when she graduated, she looks a little older, but you have these kids now that are graduating. Well, they're not kids by the time they're out of medical school, right? They're approaching 30 that have to sit there when they graduate and swear the allegiance to DEI and all this other stuff. It's not about keeping people healthy. It's about the right color and all these other choices. And then you have someone like that working at a hospital? I don't think so.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Westbound 6440 is a slow go. It's approaching Kings Highway, and it's pretty much in pockets all the way out through 70. But listen, some of these pockets are just moderate volume and space in between. 70 westbound, moderate volume there at Jennings Station Road and at 141 and out in the Wentzville area. Southbound 170, slow pockets south of Olive through 64. And we have mainly moderate volume on southbound 270 from Olive down through Gravois. 55 is slowing from Broadway to Bates. If you're headed into Illinois, we look pretty good. 44 westbound slowing in front of the Arch grounds. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Need a new garage door? Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door. Enter now at overheaddoor.stlewis.com. Deadline to enter is the end of the month. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoor.stlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Heidi Ricken Provost of Ricken Financial understands the importance of financial stability in your retirement plans.
If there's something we can do to help benefit your financial future and provide more strength and stability in your retirement plan, that's exactly what we do here. And we do so on a complimentary basis.
Call today, 314-207-6211 or online at rickenfinancial.com and join us for Kickin' with the Rickens, Sundays at 1 p.m. right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor.
Mark Cox here. This is my invitation to you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. There are cobblestone streets and postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps everywhere. We'll explore the Swiss capital of Bern and Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. Plus, we'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace and beautiful Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. Colette handles all the details details. From flights to meals, hotels, and local experiences, your only job is to have the time of your life. Don't miss joining me. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or visit 971talk.com to learn more. The number again, 800-581-8942. Call today.
When storm damage strikes or it's just time for a new roof, call my friend Cornelius at C. Marion Roofing. This is Ryan Wiggins. I've used him multiple times for roofs and bathrooms. He's licensed and insured for both homes and businesses. Start to finish, he'll handle your insurance claim and get you the job done right, fast, reliable, and with quality you can count on. I can testify to that. Call C. Marion Roofing today, 314-399-2140. That's 314-399-2140. Or type in C. Marion Roofing for all your projects.
St. Louis, laugh it up with Jimmy Fallon live at the Factory on January 24th. From national radio to sold-out comedy clubs, Jimmy delivers fast, fearless stand-up that hits home.
The only ones raising tough kids anymore. The redneck babies are going to take on ISIS. The hipster babies are going to battle the evil forces of gluten. You know what I'm saying?
Grab your friends and get ready for a night of laughs. One show, one night only. Don't miss Jimmy Fallon January 24th at the Factory. Get your tickets now at thefactorystl.com. That's thefactorystl.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
5:34. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
From St. Peter's to Smithton, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, it's going to become pretty imperative in order for him to keep his job. Ethan Hannaford needs to remind me right around 5:45 to start my car the next few days because it's cold out there. Look, that's in the guidelines when they're hired that they have to help the host start their car during the winter. It's clearly written up in the job description. Hey, Chris Clem is back with us, former Yuma Sector Border Patrol Chief, served as a special advisor to RFK Jr. at HHS earlier, well, I guess I have to say last year, because now we're in 2026. I hear you're in Las Vegas this afternoon, Chris Clem. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm actually staying at I don't know if I can say the hotel, but it's overlooking this new baseball stadium that's being built, and I'm looking at this. It's going to be crazy. But yeah, I'm at the Sports Licensing and Tailgate Show. One of my buddies, Mojo Licensing, does all the licensing for different products, and it's a huge convention. And I need to be specific anytime I'm in Vegas and say I'm at a convention because they have some other ones too that are going on that I'm not attending.
Oh, is this the same weekend as the porn convention? I've been out there that weekend too. Yeah,
I found that one out. So if my wife's listening, I'm at Slats, not the other one.
Yes. So what are they? Give me a little bit more specifics on what they have at that particular conference.
So what this is all the different merchandise that has professional sports and NCAA logos. So if
okay.
from clothes to aprons to jewelry to boots to pins and paper, anything you can put a licensed professional sport logo or college sport logo on, they've got it. I mean, you name it, they've got it out there, and it's everywhere. And my friend Tommy, who works for Mojo. He's one of the main guys there. They do everything: backpacks, duffel bags, suitcases, everything. It's just kind of neat to see all the stuff. It kind of essentially overload when you walk in.
Oh, I can imagine.
Huge convention hall with all this stuff. And
that's what they do.
Grab stuff and buy stuff.
Yeah. Well, Vegas is kind of, I call it my second home because I go out there quite a bit. I was actually supposed to be there last weekend, and I had to cancel the trip at the last minute. But I love Las Vegas. Oftentimes I stay off the strip with a good friend of mine, but I know my way around there. So what casino are you at? You can say names.
I'm at the MGM Grand.
Oh, nice.
I just partnered with them on so many things in the past that I enjoy it. I know some of the people that work here, and it's just convenient for a lot of the things I want to do. If I'm going to go to a Knights game, though, I'm usually staying at the Park because it's like literally across the street when I go see the Golden
Park
Knights.
MGM is really, really nice, and the theater is amazing. I'm sure you've been. Have you been to the theater there?
You know what? The family has been. No, I take that back. I did see a show there.
It's great. The sound.
I don't know.
Aerosmith was there. I saw Aerosmith there, so it might have been Aerosmith.
Yeah, it must have been. Yep. So yeah,
I was lucky too because I saw him right before Steven Tyler had all the health issues and basically stopped touring. So I was glad that I saw that show. All right, let's talk about some stuff related to the border and the continuing threats to ICE agents. And we haven't spoken since what happened. Maybe we did speak one time since Renee Good, but obviously that story has changed quite a bit. And you still have these protesters up there trying to, I think they want a fight, right? And sometimes they're getting a fight. So let me address a couple issues, Chris, that I'm curious about the answers to. There have been a lot of criticisms about the quality of training with ICE agents. The left seems to think that these are people that are put out there with no training whatsoever. And I did hear a report last week of someone who applied for a job with ICE and pretty much got an offer letter without much, activity. And that kind of raised questions about the caliber of the people maybe ICE is hiring. But when you see these agents who are working their asses off on the streets of Minneapolis, fighting people who are yelling in their faces, what are you thinking right now?
Yeah, so let me address a couple of things. I can tell you, somebody held the highest clearance in government. I still went through a background check as a political appointee. You're right, so that we're doing the background checks. What ICE has done is to increase the number of ICE agents to upwards of 10,000 for the country. If you have prior law enforcement, then they're bringing you on and they're giving you a reduced basic academy. If you are a street hire that has no law enforcement, you're going through that typical, 21-plus week training academy, just like the Border Patrol agents that we hire from the street. You are going through a 21-week minimum academy. I think it's 24 weeks now. So they're getting the training. But again, if you are a police officer and you've been a police officer for so many years, we're going to get you up to speed. There's no sense in taking you through basic marksmanship, training if you've already been through it. So it's a more efficient way of doing things. So that's what's happening. Actual curriculum days are like, I think they're saying it's 47, but that's curriculum. The basic training stuff, they have it and they're getting reinforced and get continuing training. Now, I do agree with you on some of the things that people are talking about. I do believe there's a group of people, especially in Minneapolis and, showing up around the country that want this fight. I don't know why somebody would do that. There's so much misinformation. ICE isn't police. They're federal police. They're not writing traffic tickets, but they have the law to back them up to make vehicle stops, to go after people that have that are here illegally, that have judicial warrants, or they have warrants of removal and all this stuff. So it's just it amazes me how much wrong information, misinformation, and omission that politicians on the left are putting out, media is putting out. And honestly, it's corrupting the entire system, and it's causing distrust everywhere, especially if those that are not willing to do the homework and they're just doing the clickbait. There's some stuff going on right now, like ICE used a kid as bait. No, the story is dad ran and left the child there.
Right.
An ICE agent went and stood with the child while they went and arrested dad. I mean, that's...
Well, that's important clarification. That's why you used an interesting word here, and I use it a lot when I talk about journalistic malpractice. You talked about omission because, they may be telling you the story, but they're not telling you the whole story because there's different circumstances that might be nuanced. My concern at this point, just being honest, and I've shared this with the audience, is I'm worried that you had a political issue that a year ago the majority of the country was on board with. We were sick and tired of seeing these people stream across the border. Then, you add into the migrant violent criminal aspect of this and some of the terrible things that have happened across the country. So, yes, the country was behind immigration reform, getting people back to where they came from, especially if they were criminals. But now you got stories emerging, and you know this, Chris, that the legacy media is going to latch onto these before anything else. They're not going to praise the ICE agents and tell the story of how well they do their job. But if they have one angle that they can go at, they'll roll with that, and that sometimes gets traction. So my political concern is that those types of stories, like the guy being dragged out in his pajamas, who is a United States citizen, it was a mistake. They put him back. But those types of stories are damaging the policy, and the polling is flipping on this, and that's a bit of a concern to me, more than a bit of a concern.
I agree with you, right? Because we only have about 6 seconds of retention nowadays when we're just going through the doom scrolling all day long. We latch onto things, but and I do believe that there will be vulnerable conservatives that may waffle to try to, appease the left and do some strong talk or strong talk about, where they're going to put funding or do this and that. My biggest problem I have with what's getting out there is, again, people aren't really understanding the law. Like, they're not doing anything illegally. There's going to be mistakes. Think about this. I mean, they've arrested, I think, in Minnesota alone since they got there in early December, like 7,000 criminal aliens and gang members. I mean, and you have, what, a half dozen? Obviously, we know that we got the Renee Good being shot, but you have, a handful of other mistakes. When they've removed themselves.
That's a big number,
7,000.
7,000. Yeah, that's a big number, right?
629,000 people have been deported this year alone that ICE has had hands on. And we're not talking about the self-deportation. So when you look at a couple of mistakes, and I get it, some of them are pretty tragic, right? Or accidents or whatever happens. And again, the justification is there on paper, but it doesn't look good on Renee Good. But when you look at those numbers of how many people that we put our hands on compared to the mistakes that we've made, and we can detain, and for all your listeners, we can detain a U.S. citizen. We can detain them. We can arrest them if they're involved in any of the criminal codes, but also if you're impeding or resisting or assaulting a law enforcement. So, yeah, I arrested and charged many of American citizens who are involved in crimes. But I think when you look at the numbers, and I hope that comes out when you say, hey, by the time the midterms come on, hey, we had our hands on 1 million people, and 100 times we made a mistake, given that people are running from us. They're hiding in cars. They're giving. And one last thing on this, because I know I'm running along.
You're doing fine. You're fine.
But think about this. Under the Biden administration and how the paperwork and the paper trail was left, they were putting wrong information on the files. It is like just like when I talked about the going after the kids and finding them. Every case is almost like a cold case. So they put information in a location. ICE goes there, and it's the wrong address. The person they're looking for is not there, but it's in a community of likes and similars, right? So now it's like, oh, they're targeting them because of the color of their skin. Look, that's another thing that becomes a problem. We're not targeting because of the color of their skin. We're targeting because who we're going after.
Right.
And that's the problem. But I think when you look at the end of the day, the numbers, recognize that there's been accidents and mistakes and some ugly incidents that have happened, but it becomes almost an immeasurable number. A 0.001%.
Right.
Again, if you're that 0.001%, it's alarming. But that's what we got to focus on, and that's what I'm hoping that as we get closer towards these midterm elections and people line up who's going to be their primary, the winner, and going to actually be on the ballot in November, that they've got the talking point and the facts there, because I think DHS has been behind the curve on putting the information out there.
I think you're right. The messaging.
They were doing more of the border patrol Barbie was out there early, not the facts. Now they're putting the facts out there.
The right. So, and that needs to happen more. That's, I think, part of the problem. The Republicans aren't very good at a lot of this, even on the economy. Look, they had to switch the marketing on the big, beautiful bill because, that wasn't necessarily grabbing the American people, and I don't even think they got that right in the end, because people don't know. They will when they get their tax returns how big of a deal that was. But, Chris, thank you so much, as always, for coming on. Enjoy your trip in Vegas.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And if we'll get offline and connect next time you're coming out here. But thanks for having me on. I know there's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts. There's a lot to cover. You know how to get a hold of me. Happy to join if I'm available.
Absolutely. You're one of our favorites. Thank you, Chris Clem.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are a southbound 55 driver, it's not bad right now. We've got a little bit of moderate volume as you head into the worst part of the construction zone, and that happens to be just south of Bates. We've got westbound 40 lined up, Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound is slow, approaching 170 through Big Bend. And then westbound it's slow out west, but just moderate volume approaching Lake St. Louis Boulevard through 70. 70 isn't bad out of downtown all the way on out. It looks pretty good. 44 eastbound slowing just east of Kings Highway, that due to road work. And we look great if you're headed for and crossing the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Never miss a beat. Take 97.1 FM Talk with you. The voices you trust, Mark Cox, Annie Fry, Mark Reardon, Scott Jennings, and more are just a tap away with the Odyssey app. Stream 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I've got a little project going on with the team at Michael's Flooring Outlet right now. It's just, at this point, some repair work. They can help you with that. I have issues in my basement. You may have heard me talking about it. The puppy and the bunny combined. They're a little damaged and not quite prepared to do a full, redo in the basement, so we're going to do some repairs. But look, if you are looking for new flooring, hard flooring, or soft flooring, get some inspiration from Michael's Flooring Outlet. Always best to go into the stores. They have beautiful, beautiful stores with lots of products. You can see them. You can touch them. You can talk to the experts, some of whom have been in this industry for decades. And you're not going to get that. If you go to the big box store, you think you're getting a better price, you'll find someone that doesn't really know the products, what's best for your lifestyle. It's the opposite at Michael's Flooring Outlet. If you press on their website, go to igotfloor.com, click on Inspirations, one of the tabs at the top. You'll see promos, products, services, reviews, financing, because you can apply for financing. When it says Inspiration, press on the part that says Visualize or View Our Galleries, and you can see the carpet gallery, the hardwood gallery, the laminate gallery, the tile gallery, and the list goes on. And you have a lot of options and a lot of choices and a lot of price points, and you can do this on a budget. Check out Michael's Flooring Outlet 6 days a week. They're open in Old Town St. Peters, Darden Prairie, West County on Olive, and the website igotfloor.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then, we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
SSM Health welcomes the St. Louis Golf Expo, January 30th through February 1st at St. Charles Convention Center. Get bonus golf balls and Pro Tour tickets while they last. Presented by Post Dispatch. Shop Pro-Am Golf Super Sale. Enjoy the Sinclair Lincoln Long Putt, Stiefel Charity Classic Simulator powered by Farmers Insurance, and the Orange Whip Trainer at the Golf Expo, January 30th through February 1st in St. Charles. Thanks to Yingling Flight, St. Louis Battlehawks, MGI, Cutwater, Extreme Green, and BMW Championship. Special tickets at stlgolfexpo.com.
It's time for you to get to know my friends at Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield, where luxury meets comfort. Mark Cox here. They have a great selection of rare bourbons, whiskeys, craft cocktails, anything you like to drink, cold beer, premium hand-rolled cigars from the finest makers in the world, even private lockers that are available if you choose to. Perfect for date nights or business meetings, and live music every Friday night. Family owned and operated. Check them out in Chesterfield at the District. It's litstl.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
I posted. I'm gonna use my little meme one more time here this afternoon about the weather, because I put this on Twitter and one person told me this might be the most accurate thing that you've ever posted, because we're talking about. I found this on Instagram, and it's just a post by someone that says, "Snow possible anywhere from 0 to 144 inches. Maybe could start at noon, 3, 7, 9, or 10 o'clock. Might be today, or maybe not. Possibly none." And that kind of really does sum up the weather forecast for St. Louis. We did have Dave Murray on. He's concerned about a fair amount of snow that is going to come in different periods. I think he even kind of talked about it in 3 different parts, right? The first coming in maybe late Saturday morning.
It's all about the Rocky Mountains.
It's all about the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
That's right. But we're hoping that, everyone can be safe. Jimmy Fallon's coming into town. I hope to see a bunch of listeners at that on Saturday night. Now, candidly, truth be told, I think Jimmy's gotten a little close, because he's not supposed to get in until Saturday afternoon.
Ooh.
That doesn't seem like a great idea to me.
Yeah, I don't know the timeline, but that's not great.
No, but everyone's gonna freak out for something like that. You just wonder. You can't go canceling shows like that because people have tickets and you got to refund,
it might be half an
right?
inch.
Right. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But tomorrow we'll talk about a bunch of different issues on the Reardon Roundtable. It'll be kind of my first post-Jane Duker Roundtable. She had to leave us a couple of weeks ago because she was hired by Catherine Hanaway. the Attorney General of Missouri. But Steve Butts will be here, state representative from South St. Louis. Sean Flower, the mayor of Eureka. We always love having him on. Paul Hall will make some entertainment recommendations. You know, the Oscar nominations came out this week. The Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Awards already took place. I've watched a few movies, though, recently that are in the awards caliber.
Good.
So we'll talk with Paul about that. We have a rare Friday. Oh, I skipped over Cusimano. Cusimano will be here taking you into the weekend at 4:45. Kill Me tomorrow afternoon. We usually visit with Brian on a Wednesday or Thursday, but he was limited to Friday. And then Jen Say is going to be here tomorrow. And I love Jen from XXXY Athletics. And she, of course, ran Levi's. And you might remember earlier this hour, I referred to some audio, or not some audio. It was actually a post on Twitter from Variety, because Variety did this big piece about Barry Weiss. And the headline was, all these people are coming forward. They're not happy about what's happening at CBS News. And they talked to 11 people, right? Like 11 people. Okay. So what Jen says, and this is what she'll kind of revisit tomorrow, is that she ran Levi's. And when she became chief marketing officer at about 2 months in, she says, I had some mid-level know-it-all come into my office to tell me everyone hated me. I was steering the ship into oblivion. She told me everyone I knew was doing a terrible job. The brand, she says, has been in decline for over 10 years. What I had done in my first 2 months: one, say no one could go on trips anymore unless they had a role at the photo shoot or an event. No more boondoggles. 2, no drinking at events or concerts we were hosting. We were there to work, not party. 3, say marketing needed to feature actual product in the ads. That seems really extreme. 4, say we needed to move away from dark and moody and into the realm of fun because people have fun in jeans. And she says, awful, right? She wanted me to know, she said, she was trying to help. And Jen says she put her feet on my desk while saying this, which, how disrespectful is that? The point being, it's not too tough, and I guarantee you, because I know some of these people at CBS News, and they are wildly, radically liberal. This is not anywhere close to a common sense, political standpoint that these producers and behind-the-scenes people have at 60 Minutes and the CBS Morning Show and all their news products. So Barry is up against it, and it's not, for Variety to pluck 11 people, they could have probably had 100 people because of the politics only. That's the problem. It's not about the journalism. It should be about the journalism, not the politics.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, I was going to say we are looking better on the roads, and then I was going to say we do have some lighter volume, and that's how it came out. Now, westbound 70 out of downtown looks great. 64 still has some volume approaching Hampton out past McCausland, and 170 is slow southbound at 64, eastbound slowing at Big Bend, but that's about it. We look good on 44 westbound. Eastbound, though, is slowing east of Kings Highway. That is due to road work. And if you're headed into Illinois, we look great on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Now that we're getting older, we've been putting more thought into maintaining our health.
We knew the water we drink